Good morning. In less than an hour, podcasts from here will join others around the world, and you will be launching the largest recording in the history of mankind. Mankind. That word should have new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is the recording day, and you will once again be fighting for our movies, not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We are fighting for our right to live, to podcast. And should we win the day, the recording day will no longer be known as a movie discussion day, but as the day the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Neon Crew podcast.
Woo! Hell yeah.
How was my Bill Pullman?
It was all right.
It was decent.
It's not bad.
Kind of hard to have a poll on Pullman, I feel like.
Yeah.
His voice is so kind of like specifically sort of ununique. And that like,
yes,
it's easier for me to latch on to someone who has like a thing.
There's a trait behind it.
Willem Dafoe, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
People of that ilk that are like, okay, easier to kind of lay in on. Whereas he is like so, I think, steady and normal that it's like, it kind of just sounds like a guy.
Yeah, there's a little undertone with the raspiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always funny to me seeing movies now with Bill Pullman. I mean, I haven't seen that many. Lost Highway was like the last one I remember.
Nice.
But he's so like kind of just like quiet and muted in that movie, save for like the parts where he's screaming. Have you seen Lost Highway?
No.
I'm not going to give it away, but
they found the Lost Highway.
He's not as expressive or emotional in that movie as he is in this.
Yeah.
But that also means that you don't get to the level of kind of like intense gravel that he reaches in this movie.
Yes.
And I'm excited to talk about Bill Pullman. I'm excited to talk about a lot of the cast members of Independence Day.
Yeah.
A movie that we'll be discussing on episode 123 of the Neon Crew podcast. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle.
I'm Mac.
We were maybe going to be joined by Sam.
Yeah.
He was perhaps going to throw his hat into the ring, the Roland Emmerich ring.
Turd Boy.
But Turd Boy could not make it.
Yeah. No, he had some obligations pop up, and I guess we didn't get proper notice, or with him with football, not knowing what a schedule looks like during the summer.
We'll catch him again. You said he might drop in with a night call. A segment that we haven't had in quite some time.
So
that would be very exciting. Maybe we'll have you call him during the record, and if he answers, we could get his thoughts.
Yeah,
but
we might be able to do that.
Yeah, might be able to shake some things out. If not, this part is going to get cut the fuck out.
Yeah.
But if so...
or it's a tease that'll never happen.
It's a tease that'll never happen.
Podcast walls.
Yeah, we have a few of those, but you know what? It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah.
How was your 4th of July? We'll be recording this on July 14th, so we're a little bit past the holiday in which we're trying to mark with these movies. But you know what? General month, it's fine.
Yeah, we recorded last time before the 4th, and now after the 4th. No, it was a good 4th. I did very, very, very family oriented 4th, which I love. Felt like kind of like a 90s sitcom 4th. Mm-hmm. Not as funny, but
right.
No, we went out to we saw one of my wife's friends. I mean, my friend too. She's the godmother of my daughter. So we hung out with her. We went out to a kind of like a fair. They had a parade. It was out in Allendale. They had a little bit of it's not a car, I guess a fair. I mean, they had a car show and they were selling food, and they had like a petting zoo. So, but it was like 90 degrees.
Yeah,
I think on the 4th, right? Like incredibly hot.
Yeah, I think it was pretty balls ass sweaty.
Yeah. So and everything that we walked, so we did like kind of 2 walks. One was half mile away, so a mile in total. The other one was about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile, so 2 miles. So like right there, got all my steps in. It's 3 p.m. I'm driving home, and then we decided, hey, we're gonna do hot dogs for dinner, and I was like, I'm gonna make some stuff and. So my family got to take a nap while I was slaving in the kitchen. So And then we're like, hey, we're gonna do fireworks. Like there's a cool spot down here in the town that you can see the fireworks. You can't. It's not necessarily a full experience, but
Yeah.
you can see them. So
You can see them well enough, and you can avoid the traffic of having to actually go to the place where most people are seeing them.
yes, it's you just don't get the noise with it. So I mean, it was cool. We were sitting down there with the community, and we got to talk with some people, and we went down there. I think it was like at 8:00. We got down there, and they don't start till 10:15. Right? It's got to be dark. So we're down there, and my daughter's running around, and we're having fun. We're talking with people, and me and the missus are getting kind of tired. And then my daughter's like, they're supposed to start at 10:15. At 10:05, she's like, I'm ready to go. It's like, are you sure? Yeah, we're ready to go. So we just all decided to come back. So I mean, it was just a hodgepodge of like just doing all the stuff, carrying kids around, having the wagon, doing being part of the community and stuff. So it felt very dad-esque. And then I fell asleep watching the second part of Independence Day in my chair. So I must have dozed off at like 12:20.
Yeah.
Woke up at 2:20 to Independence Day 2 playing, which I immediately turned off. It was funny too because I woke up, my neck was hurting. Mm-hmm. Like when you wake up and there's a pain, but you're not like fully awake.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's just a darkness, but you can like feel it somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know where that's coming from. I fell asleep with my head not on the chair. So it was resting on my shoulders, not making any points of contact for comfort or for rest.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep. So woke up with that pain and then immediately confused on where I was at. And then I saw Independence Day 2, and that was kind of like the cold bucket of water on my face.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is what's going on. Turned it off, sat there for about 10 minutes. I actually had more thoughts on Independence Day 2 from the 30 seconds of the viewing I had. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I can't say I've seen any more than that in terms of that specific movie. Maybe remember some of the commercials for it.
Yeah.
I feel like that was one of the last movies I saw where I would regularly see the trailer or like a commercial version of it on TV. Because I don't have cable, and
right.
I try to get ads out of my life as much as I can, save for like the previews at the movie theaters themselves. So I really don't remember much past that time period in terms of seeing actual movie commercials.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because that's when, I think when that movie was coming out, they came up with the new law put in place that you could charge for subscriptions to all these different streaming services. And like as soon as that happened, CBS, like if you didn't have cable and you wanted to get the app, you had to pay $5 or $10 to get the app, and I mean, it's exploded since then. But yeah, that was like 2016 was probably the last time that everyone had cable to access entertainment and media.
Yeah.
And then in 17 they came out with, I don't remember what it's called, but they allowed these people to kind of like sever themselves from cable and then charge their own rates for whatever you wanted.
Yeah, it was fascinating remembering that period of time in comparison to now when I do catch them sometimes when I'll go to my parents' house because they still have cable, they still watch primetime TV or whatever, and they'll have commercials come up for like Obsession or Backrooms, and it's like I have not seen an advertisement for these new movies in this format, and it's a little jarring how it's like trying to fit into a model that just doesn't exist anymore, really. At least in my life, because I don't see that shit.
Right.
That stuff for like people above the age of like 56 years old, but just totally not exposed to it at all. A very interesting thing about Independence Day and commercials, specifically with the Super Bowl, that we can get into with that movie.
How was your fourth? We kind of just...
it was low-key. We didn't do much. We took Goose to my parents. He ran around. We had a nice chill night with my folks, and then after that we saw friends Gideon and Lauren.
Nice.
Contributors to the podcast, Gideon and Lauren. So we spent a little bit of time with them. We watched a movie, trying to remember what movie we watched. It's on my Letterboxd. I know. Well, it was one that... Oh, you know what?
Appealed to all audiences type movie?
It was The Three Musketeers.
Oh, from the 90s?
No, 2011.
No.
Three Musketeers.
That's okay.
I'm going to give you a hint as to my feelings, Mac. It wasn't very good.
Oh, really? You don't say.
I gave it a 3 Musketeers out of 10. It's one of those movies where we saw the trailer. It didn't look like it was going to be a good movie, but we were kind of getting some like Sahara vibes from it. Of like, oh, this could be like.
Gideon's all over that.
Oh, Gideon loves Sahara.
Yeah.
I kind of stand for that movie a little bit. I acknowledge it's got like major flaws, but.
Yeah.
It's a fun time in a lot of different chunks of it, but Three Musketeers was sort of shaping up to be a version of that.
Yep.
Just like kind of really like leaning into the action steampunk of it.
Yes.
Which I was like, okay, I could like get behind this. And then we watch it, and it's mostly just kind of stupid and boring and like really lame with like some cool action scenes that they sprinkled in.
Probably that's all they had in the trailer were the action scenes.
Pretty much, dude. Like what you saw in the trailer was what the movie had to offer. Like nothing more past that.
There's a 90s version of that film with like Chris O'Donnell and oh god, I don't know if it's Jeremy Irons and there's the guy I cannot think of his name to save my life. He's in Lake Placid.
There's Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland.
Charlie Sheen's in it. Tim Curry. Oliver Platt.
Oliver Platt is a gentleman I'm thinking of. And then so it's called it's the Three Musketeers, but there's 4 of them.
Well, that's the same sort of thing with this movie. Is that there's what's the main guy's name? D'Artagnan.
Yes.
Who's like the young guy.
Yeah.
Who in the 90s movies played by Chris O'Donnell. In the 2011 version is played by Logan Lerman.
Nope. Logan Lerman.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. Gamer. What else is he in? He was like kind of the teenage actor of like the 2010s.
Okay.
But imagine like someone who just has that exact type of energy in a kind of period piece centric movie.
Nope.
We're
modernizing the Three Musketeers, so the kids in the school will come check him out.
Yeah, it was very ill-fitting, but same sort of deal where it's like the Three Musketeers are like the kind of like forgotten heroes, and the new one, D'Artagnan, is like trying to take up the mantle, and they're like kind of the mentors.
Yeah.
Movie sucks ass. It's got both Luke Evans and Orlando Bloom in it, 2 guys who have the exact same face.
All 3 of those guys have the same personality. We're gonna really hone in on the script and hope these guys can knock their characters out of the park.
It has both Christoph Waltz and Mads Mikkelsen playing villainous coded characters, and it completely wastes both of them.
Yeah, that's as soon as you said that, I was like, man. Sometimes movies do that. They, false promises. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we saw a movie.
Whoa. Hello. One that we were not discussing, I hope.
I wanted to rile you up.
Oh, man.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm, of course, talking about Independence Day. So your main recommendation was The Patriot.
Yep. You take this one, then.
Okay, so I was just going to ask how you wanted this to be formatted.
Let's stay true to it. I would love to do both of these films, but I did recommend The Patriot, and I think Independence Day was the accompanying piece. Mm-hmm. And
the accoutrement.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, because both films always have a tie-in somewhere where we can find it, these 2 are Roland Emmerich pieces of property. So
yes,
yeah,
Roland Emmerich pieces of property that are doing their best to kind of evoke a sense of like American pride and sort of like idealism and this idea that we can make this thing better than it was before, rise above the challenge.
Yeah.
Whether or not it delivers on those, I think it comes to mixed results, but we'll get into it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Independence Day, the 1996 film. It's a science fiction film directed by Roland Emmerich, is written by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, stars a slew of characters: Will Smith as Captain Stephen Hiller, Bill Pullman as President Thomas J. Whitmore, it's a great president name if I say so, Jeff Goldblum as David Levinson, an MIT satellite engineer, Mary McDonnell as the First Lady, Judd Hirsch as Jeff Goldblum's dad, Robert Loggia as Robert Loggia as the General William Gray. Randy Quaid as Russell Case, a Vietnam vet / crop duster pilot. Margaret Collin as ex-wife of Jeff Goldblum, Constance Spano. Vivica A. Fox as Will Smith's wife, Jasmine Bud Dubrow, excuse me, and then James Rebhorn as Albert Nimzicki. Albert Nimzicki. Quite the name on that guy. It's a slew of characters. It's an expansive cast who are dealing with the throes of an alien invasion. These massive 15-mile spanning ships start to dot the world in different key locations above cities and different landmarks and things of that nature. And a lot of the beginning of the movie is them figuring out whether or not the intent of the aliens is malevolent. And then about half hour in, you kind of quickly figure out that, yes, that is the case. It is a full-scale invasion. And the remnants of the government have to come together to form a kind of like super army to fight against these guys, try to figure out how to penetrate them. And these cast of characters eventually converge on a point in the Nevada desert to, spoiler alerts, Area 51. Ooh. So, yeah, we'll be diving into Independence Day. This is a very successful blockbuster movie, kind of defined a little bit what blockbuster filmmaking and blockbuster marketing would kind of do after this movie came out, after it was highly successful. Had a budget of $75 million, which is honestly very impressive. Like, the scale of this movie and how big it feels, the fact that it's not even past the $100 million mark, even though it came out in 1996, is still very impressive to me.
Wait, how much was it?
$75 million.
$75 million.
The estimated budget. Now, of course, that's not counting like the marketing, and there was like a whole Super Bowl campaign that kind of launched that as a concept, but we can get into that later.
Hold on, let's do this game real quick.
Okay.
100 million. Let's say it was 100 million. Mm-hmm. All right, just on the nose. What do you think that cost was in 96?
Like what it would be today?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess it would be 215 mil today.
Okay. I'm going to guess that it is... You said 215?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 295 million.
Okay. You're going a lot higher.
A lot higher. You're actually pretty damn close.
What is it?
213.59 mil.
Hell yeah.
And how much did it make?
It made $817.4 million.
Oh, my God.
Which, if I were to guess, would be today's, standard, like 1.2 billion.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1.5 bill.
Yeah.
It is...
Max doing the math.
It's in between. It's 1,745,000,000. 901, so pretty 1.75. Yeah. So that's a pretty good cost ratio there. That's a pretty good gross.
That's a very good gross, and I think this movie is quite the reason why Roland Emmerich kept getting the work that he did after this.
Okay.
Even if it's, I'm not saying that as a deterrent. I'm saying that as a, I think it shows the power that this movie had at the time, and really just kind of like laid the groundwork for like the idea of big scale disaster movies, like using as much of the budget as possible to like create this sense of spectacle while also like, hopefully building like this sense of tension and like all these moving pieces and having like the most kind of complicated formula for a movie that ultimately boils down to aliens attack, we have to defend Earth. Let's kill the aliens.
Fuck yeah. Who doesn't like that?
I mean, who doesn't like that?
We'll find out.
So I watched this movie. If you listen back to our Backrooms Disclosure Day episode that we had with the lovely Trevor Jensen, past and future guest, you'll know that I did a little bit of alien homework before we jumped into those discussions. One of them was watching Independence Day because I had never seen it before. And I watched the movie along with a slew of other ones. And I'm going to be real with you, Mac. It really didn't move the needle too much for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's your problem.
I know.
We'll find out.
There's something broken with my brain.
Yeah.
I think I'm being possessed by an alien who doesn't like this movie. What's going on there? And so when you recommended Patriot Day, but then
The Patriot.
Sorry, The Patriot. Mac, I promise you, I promise you, I'm going to be saying Patriot Day a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to help me out.
Yeah, I will. I'll correct you every time.
4 hours of sleep.
Put
Just
some
want to
respect on the name.
I know. I'm sorry. And so when you paired The Patriot with Independence Day, I kind of had a reaction that you sometimes do when I recommend one of my artsy-fartsy movies that you don't look forward to watching, where I was like, God damn it, I really have to watch Independence Day again, like this soon after I already saw it.
What a treat.
I know. My lobster's too buttery, my steak too juicy. And so I threw this on a couple nights ago. Watched it with Megan. She hadn't seen it before. She didn't catch it the first time I saw it. So she could, get back on the wagon with this one.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a newer appreciation I have for a lot of the things that this movie is doing on this second watch. I think that I was maybe a little bit quick to dismiss it the first time entirely. There's still some things about this movie that just, for me, fundamentally don't gel.
Well, yeah.
And
that's what I don't get.
I'll do my best to explain myself. I feel like I will be put on trial, and that Judge Mack will have to bang his gavel to determine what my fate is.
Hey, listen, after the Twister discussion, I recognize that there are some fundamental differences between my nostalgia and you coming into something that's 30 years old. Which I recognize. So I'm excited to hear it.
Yes, I will say a lot of my beefs with this movie have really nothing to do with the production quality or the way this movie's aged. In fact, I think that's one of my favorite parts about this, and maybe this is where we can kick off the discussion, is just that, like, the practicality of the effects, the way that they're, like, blended together, and, like, some of the use of the green screen. Like, yeah, obviously, like, you can tell this isn't a movie that came out like fucking 2 years ago, but I think that this movie holds up in terms of just like the pulpiness of the disasters and like how it's portrayed on screen. I thought all that stuff was fucking great. Yeah, like just the approach to that was very impressive.
This movie would probably go. This movie would be benefited by having like it remastered. More so from like the exterior shots and like where you can kind of tell where there's either it's on stage or it's kind of from an outside looking in. Like I'm trying to think some of the Air Force attacks that were going on. Like you can kind of tell that there weren't enough extras.
There's like some superimposed, the UFOs when they're flying on screen, or like the one that jumps out to me is when the dog jumps into the doorway.
Yes, of course. Even in '96, that was pretty bad.
Right. Obviously, like both of them in their own individually are practical effects in camera, but then they are kind of spliced over each other, and you can tell the distance between where the dog is and where the explosions are.
Yeah, there's a couple times where I've seen this movie a million times. We'll just say that. And every time I watch it, it's more so of like it's like kind of your Oreos at night. It's a little treat for you. You're not necessarily going in to critique this thing. So putting it on recently was the first time in a while that I'm like, I'm going to kind of objectively look at this film. So there are watching it. I was thinking about you watching it, and I was like, oh, we'll see. It's like.
So it shouldn't be an entire surprise of like some of my feelings on this.
No. Both films. I definitely this holds more in my heart with nostalgia and being able to step back into like '98, watching this thing at 8-year-old, being like, oh my god, how awesome is this? A PG-13 movie and it's aliens versus fucking TIE fighters, like, yeah. But seeing it, like I saw some of like the production holds up well. The some of the extras and the bodies that they're able to get, and it flows well. And there are things within what the camera couldn't do back then that definitely feel it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I was doing the thought exercise of putting this movie next to Moonfall, a movie that we've previously discussed on this podcast years ago at this point. The first Roland Emmerich movie that we talked about, and the most recent one in his filmography that he hasn't come out with anything after that. But
you wonder why?
I feel like that movie broke him a little bit, but we'll get into it. You just think about the different special effects and like the goals of what's happening in each movie in terms of like Moonfall and Independence Day. Independence Day feels like the product of someone who wanted to go to school for filmmaking after seeing Star Wars, and like, you know, the wonder of those is like, you know, just like production design exercises and like the use of miniatures and like those special effects and how those are integrated into that movie.
Yep.
And, you know, I was just reading a little bit about Roland Emmerich and how like this feels like a guy who managed to get the money to do the thing that he always wanted to do, which is like, we're going to do like in-camera explosions. We're going to make these sets. We're going to like make these miniatures and like blow them the fuck up in camera. We're going to do our best to like splice it together. Even if it's not going to like look entirely realistic, it's still going to have the impact that I want it to. And then you look at something like Moonfall, which this feels like a product of what filmmakers believe they can do with computer technology, with the available CG at their disposal, without entirely thinking about what made movies like Independence Day work for so many people.
And well, you know, and I think it's a battle too between what you had in '96 versus what you have now. You know, like if it's available and we're using it, everything looks more sleek, and it's kind of like I want it to be a little bit tighter with the look. We don't want to have the splicing or these miniatures when we can actually get a scaled up done on in the computer. Like, might as well do it. But for sure though, I mean that's part of the I think that's still the allure of movies though, is the practicality when you're able to get on set or on location, or use these miniatures or use whatever is available outside of just putting it through the computer. Like, I think that's still what drives people in there. Like, I haven't seen Obsession yet, but I feel like there's a lot of practicality in that movie.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, it's not a special effects heavy movie by any means, but there's some really great practical work in it.
That's what I'm saying, you know. And there's like back rooms kind of had that feel going through it. Like, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of CGI, and whether they're able to just really push that in there and make it look that good. You know, like, it's still seeing a chair or a fountain of chairs or something that looks like it's stuck in the floor. Like, it when it's actually done on camera, it looks a lot better than when it's kind of produced through a computer. So
Kane Parsons having a 30,000 square foot backrooms environment built for practical reasons is going to bring me more wonderment than seeing a CGI moon spinning around the Earth getting closer.
That's what I'm saying. So like, that's, you know, with Independence Day, especially at the time, I think it was really like, for my money in the 90s, Jurassic Park's probably the only thing that kind of comes close to what you were able to do to make it feel like you were living in this world. And while, you know, I mean, you can kind of tell what's done up, but it still feels like when the White House explodes, it feels like the White House exploding. You know, when they got like all these things flying around, and like the cars, you can kind of tell are miniatures, but it still feels like you're living in that world and you're actually with the characters.
Yeah, there's a part of you that thinks to yourself, like, damn, I'm glad Bill Pullman got out of there in time, because he would have been blown to smithereens if he didn't.
And there, you know, you get the there's a little bit, it keeps the tension alive when you're able to keep it in like a real world, right?
Yes.
Like, I think that's one of the things I liked about this film, is that while I've seen it a million times, like, viewing it in the lens of someone seeing it for the first time, I'm like, I still feel like there's tension with all these scenes going on. Like, you know something good's gonna happen, but like, it's still holding on to how. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And it's sort of like perpetuating that momentum for, I would say, like the first 50 minutes to an hour, at least for me. I'm gonna like kind of just front load my biggest issue with this movie.
Let's go.
The middle chunk of it is, to me, such a slog. I had a rough. So in the period between when they launched the nuke,
it's July 3rd is what because I think July 2nd the attack happens at night, and then July 3rd's like the aftermath of everything, and then July 4th is the full scale escalation attack.
Yeah, because so they launched the nuke at the one that's above, I think, Houston.
Yep.
Because they believe it to be like the most like evacuated or whatever in terms of civilians. From that point on, up until when Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum get in the UFO and like fly towards the mothership.
Yeah.
To me, that's when I'm like almost fully checked out of the movie.
Yeah, that was just tragic.
It's got some things in it that I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for, like them figuring out like how to beat the aliens, and like Jeff Goldblum kind of like reckoning with like his life and the environment and all that shit, and Bill Pullman and the alien, whatever. a lot of that stuff to me just did not hit as well as they were hoping.
Yeah.
And, we'll get into the more specifics of it, but like really to me, this movie is at its best when you get a sense of the disparate characters and like them being scattered and then like them converging onto Area 51 is like, okay, this is like what we're building up to. And then they spend a lot of time there until they eventually figure out how to beat them. And then they're like, all right, let's fucking go. That period of time to me is like really dragging the movie down.
I really and I'm not sticking up for the second act here, because all right, so let's just say this too: from exposition to the end of the first act, like it's pretty much like there's the investment of what's going on with the aliens. Like you're kind of like, and they do a good job at keeping you at arm's length until like this full assault invasion, and there's a lot of discovery going on and running around and trying to get like evacuating, and then you get the special effects going on or the those scenes where it's just explosion after explosion, and you're seeing all these characters now put into this, like what are we doing after this? And then so the July 3rd comes, and that is like I think the reason why it probably feels slow is just because you have such an adrenaline ride going up to that. And now you get in this really weird scenario of how much are we going to invest in making these things like real and understanding why they're here versus juggling all these characters who have all these subplots going on with what their actions are, their motives are on trying to get out. Because like I thought Vivica A. Fox, her sequence and with the First Lady is the weakest, and they unfortunately kind of have to keep going back to that. And there's just not a lot of like, all right, how are you... I guess I just don't care enough for your like the survival right now aspect of it, and they're trying to juggle with like, well, we got the First Lady here, and it's all tying in to build up to Will Smith coming back to get her and getting the First Lady. But I think that's what holds it back. I thought when they get to Area 51 and Bill, President Whitmore's like, all right, I just can't imagine having the lives of 300 million people surrounding you and trying to process what just happened. And I do like that they have his wife having the that misstep, because it adds another layer to him with what also he's trying to help out with. He's got a daughter and he's got his wife that he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's got to figure out how to stop these fucking things. So I mean, I think that is captivating, at least to me.
See, to me, one of the weaker threads of this movie, and maybe you'll throw the bottle at my head when I say this.
Okay.
Is the Randy Quaid character?
No, not at all. I had to laugh at that. I was like, they literally have him in here just so he can have his moment.
It is. We'll talk about it. It is to me like one of the most detrimentally underdeveloped parts of this movie.
Rusty Quaid.
I think his name is like Russell Collins or something.
No, I'm going Russell Quaid.
Russell.
I've seen the movie enough.
They use the same. Russell Case.
Russell Case. God damn it.
Yeah. So this movie has a lot of moving pieces in terms of like different characters and events and like it all kind of like converging. And I've noticed this as kind of like a through line throughout a lot of Roland Emmerich's movies. Like I haven't seen all of his films.
The three that you've seen?
Well, I've seen more than that. I've seen this movie. I've seen Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've seen fucking 2012, Moonfall, and then I feel
Patriot.
The Patriot. Yeah.
There you go. You got 5.
I got 5.
So I was 2 off.
It's just I don't know, like the way in which like certain characters are given so much room to breathe and move and like develop, like Jeff Goldblum's character, for example, I think is like my favorite of the arcs that take place in this movie, and I think is to me the most like justifiably developed, with like his relationship with his ex-wife and his dad, and like his approach to like trying to figure out a solution to everything that's going on. Like he's not the main character, but he's like a pretty central figure.
Yeah.
I like the way that they build blocks off of him and like make it work in like a pretty basic but effective level.
Yeah.
And then the Randy Quaid character to me is just like so thrown away.
Yes.
People have such high reverence for the scene in which he sacrifices himself. I've spent this whole movie just not really getting to know this guy well enough, not getting to know like his family dynamics. I had like way more questions than I did answers in terms of like his kids and like his relationship with them. He never like felt like a father until like the very end when he says like, I love my kids, blah, blah, blah. Like it just did not land for me. Totally bounced off the backboard.
I think it's more so about, I mean, if anything, you could say that Roland Emmerich was going for the common man with him, you know, just like life's failures, right? Like he can't crop dust effectively. He's an alcoholic. He's got past trauma that he holds on to. People think he's crazy. He's got these kids that he's trying to take care of, but his oldest son's actually the one taking care of the family, and his dad, who's his son now, right? And it's all of these things that you can't get a break in life, and you get to the final thing where you can finally do something, very selfless in nature. And yeah, the family aspect isn't brought in enough, and I think that's probably just because you got these three other characters that you're focusing on.
Sure.
I don't know how you could get a sense for how much more of a degenerate he is, and that's like you're saying. It's one dimensional, right? There's no character depth there. It
felt like the sort of thing that Roland Emmerich, I think, does in a few of his movies, where it feels like he has to have a checklist of, all right, we've got a topic. This movie's topic being aliens. How can we touch on the different aspect of how people view aliens in a multitude of different ways through these other characters? So you've got, the discovery of it with like Jeff Goldblum trying to figure out what their deal is. He figures out the countdown. You've got the political side of it with, Bill Pullman and like his whole deal. The military side of it with Will Smith. Like all that stuff feels, at least to me, equally touched upon in a way where it's like, okay, like a lot of this is more or less pretty satisfying up to a certain point. And then you've got the Randy Quaid character who, this movie's about aliens, so we have to include something about an abduction. And then we also have to have like this idea of the common man coming in and like saving the day through his like blue collar patriotic jingoism where like for God or country, I'm going to drunkenly fly my plane into the aliens.
Well, so he didn't do
it
for either of those things though. He looked at it and said, for the life of my kids.
Of the life of his kids, in which we spent none of the time in this movie really developing or getting to know all that well.
It could have been a little bit more impactful for sure, but it's also, like you said, I mean, if he's going off of the archetype, right, of the common man, and he's playing, like, I think you are right, the guy that pulls himself up by his bootstraps and, blue collar, they never get touched on, like how much of an impact do they actually make in the world with all of this going on, so yeah, you get your grievances with it. I don't know how if they take out Vivica A. Fox, they can get more of Russell Kaysen maybe.
And I think a lot of it has to do with kind of the performance of it too, because I'm not huge on Randy Quaid as an actor. Yeah. Like I think he's fine in the Vacation movies. I think
Same.
Christmas Vacation is his best role, I would say.
Hot take.
Is that a hot take?
I don't know.
I was gonna say, pretty sure he's pretty consistent in all of them.
Yes.
It's just the quality of the movie is dependent on it. This one, it just kind of felt like cartoonish bumpkin who's like slightly out of his mind.
Oh yeah.
Who like doesn't really have a lot in terms of depth or character to play with.
Yeah.
And so he's just kind of relegated to, this guy is a simpleton. This guy's an idiot. He's a fuck up because of his trauma and like the things he's gone through, and also maybe his upbringing. But then he's going to come in and save the day, and he's going to earn the respect of not just his children, but like the people who like flew next to him and depended on him.
Well,
and it's like, okay, cool. This feels like pretty simplistic in the way we get there in a movie that is already, for better or worse, very simple.
I guarantee you there's no... Maybe for moviegoers trying to pay attention to like what purposes he served, but like I don't think that's like one where you are picking him as being almost like, I mean, he's a hero, right? Like I don't think anyone's picking him out. So I mean, that is one of the things I noticed with Roland is he does try to subvert your expectations as much as he possibly can.
Yeah.
And I do think he did it with this character. I understand what you're saying in the terms of believability or respect earned to make you care for what he does. But I don't know. I think it's hard because all of his actions are with his kids and understanding that he is not, I always get a sense that he understands that he's not a good person or he's not doing a good job. Like he does portray that, I think, where you can tell that there is a lot of guilt with who he has become. I just think it's everything else that surrounds him with some of his actions. Like and it might be like that with a lot of people that are kind of jokesters, where you're just like, you're an idiot, and then they kind of have that guilt, and then they go right back into being the clown again. But
part of it too almost feels like, and maybe I'm reading too much into Randy Quaid as a person.
Yeah, we're hitting on this one.
If some of it maybe feels like the personality that he is, just as an actor and as a human being, where like it almost feels like they kind of had to edit around him to be able to make him fit into what this movie is going for.
Yeah.
Because if you know who Randy Quaid is as a person, you'll know that he's not a good dude. And that he has very skewed views on politics and the world and the way things should be, or how he thinks they should be. I'm pretty sure he's quoted as saying something along the lines of, yeah, liberal pussies don't understand that this is what a real movie is, and that this is about like patriotism and the American way. And it's like, yeah, sure, Randy, whatever. How about you go back to fucking your wife on camera? Like,
that happened?
Not going to get into it.
Okay. But yeah. And I get, if and sometimes like, you got to separate the person from the art.
Yeah.
I understand that there's probably some deplorable things that he's said or done. Like I know that he had the Delaware, the New Hampshire thing with tax evasion or tax fraud. Like, anyways.
Yeah.
There's some things brought up, but I do agree because there are points in this thing where it feels a little out of place. And I did notice it this time when I'm kind of like I shouldn't say paying attention, but like, all right, I'm going to sit down. I want to see this, through a lens of like, let me view it from a movie making experience and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's yes.
It almost feels to me, and maybe this is too mean of me to say, it almost feels like a Make-A-Wish program for someone who wants to be included in a movie. Like, to me, his performance read, I won this in a sweepstakes, and I get to be in a movie with other people.
I don't really think that's. It's not that he's out of place. It's just that it's hard to play conspiracy theorist, alcoholic, degenerate, and have 10 minutes of screen time and make someone really empathize with you when you make a choice. Mm-hmm. And maybe they could have built it up. I mean, this thing's 2:25, so I mean, like, add another 10 minutes exposition, like 5 minutes exposition somewhere.
I think what it really boils down to is just like the lack of what I feel to be like an attempt of empathy towards his character. Of like, look at how low this guy is. He's had dealing with this trauma in like Vietnam and like being abducted by aliens. We can probably suppose that was true, that it actually happened to him, with aliens existing in this movie. Yeah. And then anytime that thing is sort of addressed, it's played for a joke. And like, there's a lot of kind of like venomous cynicism in that I think prevents me from really like getting behind him as a character, of just like, yeah, look at this guy, look at this fucking idiot. He got fucked by aliens and like, whatever.
Well, he didn't. Maybe he did. I know that the guy in the restaurant kind of. That's what.
Sure, but the way the movie frames it to me is just like, this is a little mean spirited for the sake of having a joke.
Right, or for really, making this guy be lower than low.
Sure.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, he's building up that guy to do what he did. Mm-hmm. And that's where if you can really knock him while he's down, that makes that story when he elects to become the hero and put all of his differences aside for love. Like, it makes it a little bit more rewarding. But yeah, I'm not gonna knock it. It's watching it this time. There are things that stood out in his character and arc and what was going on with him really did, because he pops in here and there. And it's always kind of like, yeah, like we got some serious shit going on, and he's talking about things happening, and it's very light about it.
Mm-hmm. We can talk more about some good things, though. I'm more than happy to bring those up.
Whatever we got.
Jeff Goldblum. I think my favorite performance and character in this movie.
Then, by the way, for everyone, this is probably going to be more of a character-driven conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Because, what else could we really say about, like, the actual thing that people go to this movie to see? Right? Like, buildings blow up, and, they launch the nuke, and, space battle. Like,
yeah.
there's not much in the way we could offer of that discussion that hasn't already been touched on. I'm assuming so.
But for sure, the character, like, I thought that was one of the things that stood out for me. Well, and I'm not going to lie too. I thought the script was really good in this, and maybe we'll talk about that after the characters. But like,
I think it was really good 60% of the time.
Oh my God, 60? What the fuck? Come on. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about the script too, because we've already got the Russell Case discussion out the way. But
yes.
Yeah, and, no, Goldblum was great. Very. So I think this is like the first time like I really got introduced to Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
Like in the sense of like kind of seeing his dynamicism.
Yeah.
You know, he's very he's very unique. He's got a very unique way of talking and a voice. But yeah, for his piece in here being kind of like the pacifist, environmentalist genius that, you know, elected to work with telecommunications because it was the easy route for him, you know, and trying to build a family. And as the art goes along, him kind of stepping into some unknown waters to help out, really gives you like a good sense of pride with what he's doing.
And the way he's performing it too, where he is giving it the perfect level of weight with each new discovery, with each new information that's being given about the aliens, and like, you know, how that's being brought forth on screen in terms of like, you know, exposition through the characters or like what happens on screen, whatever. He's able to deliver those performances in a way where I'm just like, I could watch this guy all day.
Oh yeah.
Like he's got me in the palm of his hand, and he knows the perfect way in which to deliver those things for a movie of this caliber. Like he's giving it the right level of passion and consideration. And I think because of the type of character he is and because of the type of person we know Jeff Goldblum to be, I think that really meshes well together and is just like the perfect combination of like acting ability meeting this movie on its level and casting decision for this specific character. I think it works tremendously well.
Oh, 1,000%.
It's one of those things where like the relationship stuff between him and the ex-wife should bother me. Like this is the kind of stuff that like if it was done even like a fraction more poorly from like another performer, this would be something I'd bump up against so much, where it's like, we're just like relying too much on this like played out dynamic. But I think it works really well between like him and what's her name? I don't want to be disrespectful. What's the actress's name, Mac?
Do I need to hop on this? I got the IMDb.
Margaret Collin.
Yeah, of course.
There we go. Between him and Margaret Collin, I think that to me is like my favorite part of this movie in terms of character dynamics.
Yeah, I don't know about dynamic. All the relationship stuff felt very believable. I guess for the most part. Yeah. Outside of maybe Russell Case and his kids, because I was confused when I was watching that. Yeah, I think that he has a kindred spirit, and you really feel where his passion resides. And I don't know how to talk on, like, 'cause he's kind of brought up in his other job, right? A little bit like he's driving the bike around. He goes, "Hey, we recycle," and they're talking a little bit about telecommunications, and you get a feel for. It's not necessarily. It's like a lazy genius, Yeah. But you don't really have that sense that he's got that vitriol to do something that's important. And you kind of keep feeling that, and I really like it when they have the conversation when he's, sees her, and they're like, she was like, I wanted to do something, I wanted to stand up for something, I wanted to fight for something. He's like, I was fighting for us, and you get that sense where he's like, oh, he really cared about her, and you finally get that sense that like while he is, he's smart, maybe lazy, whatever we want to say about him, like he really honestly cared about this Margaret Collins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Margaret Collin.
Yeah, Margaret Collin.
Not Collins. No Phil.
Yeah.
To be found.
And
just one.
Yeah. So I think one of my favorite scenes with him is actually when they're talking about the nuke, and you see him like get into it, where he gets his riled up passion, and you see him like really fighting for his stance on the world and what it's going to become if we go this route when they're in the plane.
A scene in which you could easily see being laid on way too thick.
Yes.
Or like just going like full balls to the walls, like theatrical with it.
Yes.
And he kind of does it first a little bit. And I was watching this movie this time going like, I don't know if this is the part of the performance I really like, but then he gets into like why he's doing what he's doing and like the whole kind of like basis of his character and the environmentalist in him, and I'm like, okay, I'm back in. He's Jeff Goldblum. Damn it, you've done it again. You've pulled me in,
dude. And I'm like, if you just do a step back where it's end of the world, there's like 100,000 people left, and you're on a plane with the president, and you're gonna take that stance with the guy that leads the free nation. You better be right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you're going to walk in here, you got 12 people telling you that you're wrong, and you're going to make this stance. And I also like Bill Pullman in this thing, too, because you could tell.
Yeah, Bill Pullman, I think he's really good.
He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's processing all this shit. Your wife didn't get out of here. We're going to nuke these guys. Alien invasion, what's going on? And then you got this guy off the streets at telecommunications that punched him in the face at one point. So, if anything, it's just animosity with this gentleman.
Right.
And he's just sitting there looking at it. He's like, fucking Christ. Like, dude, yeah, I get it, man. I don't want to do it either, like, yeah, it's a fun little scene with the dynamics that are going on with all these people that are trying to tell the guy, the leader, what to do without him having any sort of strategy or idea about what to do. And then you get the lunatic that steps in that's talking about, like, if you nuke him, it's the end of the world anyways.
Right.
So...
Bill Pullman, I mean, we can kind of like pivot to that.
Yeah.
I like him a lot as an actor. I like him a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
He's one of the stronger points of it. Really, one of my issues that I have, and it has nothing really to do with his performance, just like some of the characterization stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that I feel like I have with a lot of Roland Emmerich isms and like the way he handles character emotions.
Yeah.
So his wife, the first lady, is in another location. Her helicopter crash lands. She gets injured. And she is alive long enough to the point where they are able to send her to Area 51 to reunite with Bill Pullman, her husband.
Yep.
But only long enough to where she passes away shortly after that while they have an exchange. I think it's pretty confirmed that she's dead, right? Like,
no, well, so this is so my issues with more
disagree.
Of these, my issues with more of this film are some of the what do you call it, the scene logistics.
Okay.
This being one where he's talking to her, and I don't think she dies on the bed because it's like he's kind of like sitting next to her, kind of crying, and she's like, "You're a terrible liar." And then he steps out, and the doctors say she has internal bleeding. She's not going to make it much longer. So it's inferred that she's dead. Like, he steps out of that room because he's got to go back to lead the charge.
I believe it plays out that he sees her in the bed talking to her daughter. Yeah. And the doctor in the doorway comes and says, "We can't stop the internal bleeding."
Yes.
And then he goes and talks to her on the bed.
So, but she doesn't like close her eyes and like, you don't hear the flat line. Like, it's just, she has days, maybe hours.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, did she die right there? I don't think so. But it plays out like she is.
I think she did because we don't see her again. Yeah, and I feel like this movie would have at least...
He's up in a fucking F4, like, bombing fucking aliens.
Sure. But this is kind of getting at the core of what my issue is.
Yeah.
Is that I'm, as a viewer, assuming the way it plays out that the wife died and that he's grieving her.
Oh, yeah,
and that,
she's
like,
dead at some point.
Right, and that, he's going to have to live with the idea that, like, oh, I'm the president, my wife died, but I'm also going to have to raise our daughter, and, like, I've got the whole weight of the world. And then the scene happens where, he gives the speech. It's empowering. It's good. I'm like, okay, this is like kind of in line with like the passion he feels and like the personal loss that he's experienced.
Yeah.
And then he goes in the jet, shoots down a few aliens. Randy Quaid sacrifices himself. Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum do what they got to do. Bada bing, bada boom. And then everybody comes together and they celebrate the victory. And I just can't help but think about the corpse that's in the hospital bed at the same time as Bill Pullman celebrating the victory of the world against the aliens. Like, I get it.
You're off.
You don't want to like leave on a dour note. I don't think I am. I feel like it's one of those things where like these characters, the way they're written, move on pretty damn quick from the tragedy they experience. It's a problem I have with this movie, and spoiler alert, it's a problem I have with The Patriot.
Well, hold on. With The Patriot, there is a lot of time. This isn't a matter of 3 days. Like, I doubt in his head while he's like, let's pave the road, is like thinking like, oh God, she's gone. Right? Like,
sure.
you're gonna process at some point. Everything gets compartmentalized in the mind. Like, you don't just get out. Now, maybe there was like a moment where you could have had where he just like looks down or looks up and does like the baseball home run point to God finger, and then he's like, oh, she's gone. But like, I don't think in that sense right there. Like, funny too, we can't possibly fathom what it would be like to save the world. So the amount of ecstasy that you're feeling in that moment, I don't think we could even comprehend.
Sure. I guess my bigger point is I, as a viewer, am having a hard time connecting with the events going on when it feels like he's got too dry of an eye to really like kind of consider the fact that, oh, your wife is dead. Like, the love of your life is gone.
Dude, he just stepped out of the plane.
Have like a little moment. Here's how you solve this. Here's how you solve this problem.
Let's hear it. Put on your director cap.
Have a little moment where he kneels down, looks at his daughter. They have like a wordless exchange where like,
dude, the daughter doesn't know the mom's dead. Remember, he says she's gonna be all right. He knows, she doesn't.
Well, okay, I'm not even.
And it's July 3rd at 10 o'clock at night.
You don't have to acknowledge that. This is how you solve it.
Okay.
He looks at her a little too long, has like a couple tears trickle down from like not just the emotions that he feels of like having just saved the world or helped save the world, but also the loss of his wife, which you don't need to verbalize because we're seeing it on his face. That could have been like a really effective acting moment from Bill Pullman, really kind of like cementing the sort of pressure that he's under and like the release of that through this like visual emotional exchange.
Yeah. You want some payoff for the wife dying because right now she's a device in this whole thing, and you're like, all right, hold on, we can actually capture some emotional depth with Pullman out of this versus using his wife as a ploy to get us to really like pull our heartstrings with what's happening.
And I think that's just like a Roland Emmerich thing. He likes doing that a lot.
For sure. Because, I mean, in the second one, you kind of notice it too. But, yeah, I didn't bump up against that quite as much, but I'm also in the vein of, like, I don't think he's processing or thinking about that happening when you just saved the world. That's what I'm, like, I just... You'd have to take your biggest life moment, multiply it by probably 1,000, and then, like, think about, like, take your saddest moment and place it right there and be like, would this enter my mind?
I feel like it would enter your mind a little bit more than how he reacts at the end of the movie, which is the equivalent of, oh, my team at the Super Bowl won the game. And
see, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a game, and then you go home and go to sleep. Like, if they lose, he's dead. Like, there's a difference here. Like,
sure,
the planet's gone versus like, oh man, I lost a $50 bet. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's the stakes are a little bit more amplified. Now, maybe that's where you're not, you didn't really buy into with the stakes. Like, it could be it too, where you want a little bit more of like, hey, this is kind of grounded, and it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like for me, just a little bit more emotional payoff, like in terms of at least acknowledging that sort of thing.
I'm with you because, like, as a general moviegoer, if you're using events in people's lives as a way to pull at the emotional heartstring without actually delivering on it, like with like next actions, right? It's like, all right, this is thrown in for fodder. This is entertainment, right? But it's you've had a chance here to make something good, and it feels a little lost because you're taking these events and you're using them against me as opposed to building off the characters and what their ultimate motivation is. Mm-hmm. But I think if this was like spanned out from months and he carried the weight, that would bump up. Dude, she might still be alive too. Like, you're going in that she died when he walked out of that room. He could go back in and be like, we did it. And she's like, yay.
I mean, hey, well, maybe I'll recommend the sequel and we'll find out that way.
No, we won't do that. That'll be fucking crib notes of not watching that thing ever.
Will
Smith. We have to do Will Smith.
We gotta talk about it. I think we gotta talk about him.
This movie, he
was such a powerhouse in this time,
isn't he? Well, I don't know if you liked. I loved him in this thing. I'm like watching. I was like, where did this personality go?
I like him a lot. I think he's really good.
Oh, let me guess. He didn't have sex with his wife, so it's all fucking like there's no emotional payoff.
I didn't see him clapping them cheeks on screen. No, honestly, I thought him with like Vivica A. Fox and like the stepson. I thought all that stuff was really good. I thought he was really good as a character and as a performer. It almost feels like at times he's in a different type of movie. where like
kind of he's a little too kick-ass.
He's
for,
a little
like,
too kick-ass for like what's going on, right? Where it's like
maybe for you,
he's having like. We're having like these pretty kind of like, you know, complicated moving pieces with the characters of like Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman, like all of them like converging and like trying to figure out the situation. James Redhorn's like, all right, you know, there is an Area 51. I didn't tell you before.
Oh, we got to talk about him too. Like talk about pieces of shit.
Dude, he's a great performer for that type of thing.
Yes.
But then you also have Will Smith, who I will say is doing a pretty damn good job of like being in an action movie, being the star of a kind of like, you know, like not John Carpenter, but like that type of figure where you're like, yeah, I'm a kick-ass dude and I'm going to kick some ass.
Yes.
And
he didn't really get into like this thing's grounded. He was like, you mean I'm in a fighter jet fucking killing aliens? Mm-hmm. Like I can play that role.
It almost feels like the type of thing of, oh, your playable character in an RPG is in a cutscene with other characters.
Yeah.
And it's like all the other characters look pretty normal, and then you cut to him and he's like all decked out. He's like shiny. Yeah. He's got all this like other shit going on with him, and it's like there's a clear level that you are playing at that maybe the other people are not. And I'm not saying like it's above or below the others.
Yeah, it's just out of place, or it shows.
It's just like it's slightly out of the ballpark. It's in the parking lot a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely felt. I mean, that was like one of the things too. But I'm not gonna lie, like he's on camera, and I was like, man, he's captivating. I don't give a shit if he doesn't realize that he's not in the, hey, this is like a straight action. There's a little bit of emotionality here.
There's a reason why this guy dominated the 90s, man.
Oh, man.
90s and early 2000s, like between this, Men in Black, Bad Boys, like he was the number one star for a reason.
Yeah, whoever Michael or whatever he is in Bad Boys, like he brought that into this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the three, Pullman, Goldblum, and Will Smith in this thing, there's a reason why they're on the poster, they're on the cover. I thought all of them knocked it out of the park with what they had to do. Mm-hmm. And I can see a little bit where you're bumping up against a script. But like when it comes to their performances and how well they do in this thing, I think it is almost like a buffet style of what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's a good buffet where seconds feels appropriate, you know? I mean, at least from like, you know, from what they're delivering, not to say, because I don't know how you felt about a second viewing, but, you know, like I thought they were tasked with a job, and they're part of the reason why this had so much success.
There's a commendability to like the sort of nature of the upward battle that a lot of these performers have to do with some of what's going on in this movie. Yeah. Like, for example, Will Smith having to deliver the line, I'm about to have a close encounter, before he punches the alien and says, welcome to Earth. And it's like, these are lines that absolutely should not work. Yeah. And should just make me roll my eyes and like just slam my head against the table.
Dude, he pops a cigar and he's sitting down on an alien spacecraft. Like,
but I'm like,
sick.
All right, this shit mostly works. Like, God damn it, Will Smith, you did it. You delivered on what was being asked. And what was being asked of you is admittedly like a very mixed bag of different things.
Yeah.
Like just different tones and like what they're going for. It's the same sort of thing I was saying earlier about Roland Emmerich feeling like he has to not leave anything off the table.
Yeah.
Like we just got to throw it all in there. Any notion we have about aliens and like how people's perception of them works, we just got to include.
Yeah, and
they even have like the sort, and I didn't mean to cut you off, just one more thing. They even have the sort of like horror alien scene with, you know, the scientist guys getting attacked or whatever.
I thought that, I mean, and that we could talk about the alien. Like so you liked Moonfall and you're like, oh, you went for it? I'm like looking at this, I was like, this is how you go for it with aliens. I
want to make it clear, I did not like Moonfall.
Well, you said, like, you were like, I'm glad. Well, all right, so you didn't like Moonfall, the redeemable quality.
Don't make false accusations.
Snip that. We're putting that on socials. The redeemable, not even redeemable, what you appreciated, or however you want to fucking phrase it, was that he went for it, right? He goes out there. He's like, we're gonna try to do something unique.
There was a commendability to just how balls on the walls ridiculous that movie is. A movie that, by the way, I gave a 3 out of 10. Yeah. Like I'm not defending
2 stars
it
higher
all.
than me. But with this, I mean, the alien suit, I thought this was like a fun experience. Yeah, it's a little bit of the horror alien scene in there, but like, I thought it worked.
I didn't really care for that one.
Yeah.
It's part of why I think that middle part drags. It's just it's a lot of individual scenes that I just don't think mesh well or like accomplish what they want to. Like that scene to me was like trying to emulate the sort of like Ridley Scott Alien thing of like we're gonna have it be scary and like a horror, and it's like
I don't know if
this doesn't really effectively make me feel scared.
Yeah, but like how else are you gonna get the conversation, right? Like I don't know if it's a checklist or more so of like we just have to have another scene in here that's producing some adrenaline, right? Like what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit down with the thing while it's dying like Men in Black and just sit there and give you the whole spiel about what it's planning to do?
I don't want it to do that, and I even kind of like the idea that like it's just a simple thing of like we can have a peace treaty. No peace. What do you want us to do? Die.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like that it's that simple and dumb.
Yeah.
And the rest of it to me is just kind of like ineffective horror stuff with like a really kind of schlubby prosthetic just bouncing around where it's like
how dare
you're
you?
showing this
Come
too
on.
much. You're like kind of laying it on too thick. I like the scene when it's like Will Smith punching him and like you see it for a second before he like decks it in the face, and it's like okay, that's cool, that's effective, I like that. And then when they just kind of like whole hog show it in that scene, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm out.
See, now that's where you lost me because I like that I thought that they got really. This is what I was talking about with freaking Spielberg and Disclosure Day, where I was like, okay, so like we're going 1970s generic Alien. Like, let's get creative with these things on like what you could. It could be friggin' anything. It could be celestial beings coming down in particles and be alien. Like, give me something that is someone's trying to dare someone to do something.
I like the idea of the practicality. I think I absolutely prefer
I like the idea
that.
of Coca-Cola, but I don't like Coca-Cola.
Listen, I think there's a way in which you shoot that scene that's a little bit more effective in what it's trying to do, and like laying the stakes and the emotions and the tension of that out in a way that pulls me back in, as opposed to how it ended up, which was just more or less the movie keeping me at a distance with how plainly it was showing things.
Okay.
That's how I felt.
That's understandable.
Yes,
that's understandable. Yeah, and we're getting off the characters. I just wanted to say it. Well, I mean, we're good with that too. I just like Roland Emmerich and I can see some of the screenwriting where it is using some of these relationships instead of building some character depth. They're using it more as plot devices or plot devices to keep kind of the arcs going.
Yeah,
and I can see why I can see why that would rub you the wrong way.
Like I think a lot of it is done well enough to get me on board for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of it too just feels like we have to have enough moving pieces in order to have things to work with. Well, in order to like, buff this movie out and have it be a big blockbuster. Not only do we have to have like the big effects, we have to have like the ensemble cast and the characters and the different perspectives, and it's like adherent to the idea that everything in this movie needs to be the most it can be.
I don't know about them. I really just don't think like one of the things while watching this, I was like, these characters feel one-dimensional, but they feel like they have a little bit more going on than just one dimension, right?
Yeah.
Like there's enough going on, but I can see now why I felt that way, or the vibe was with the characters the way it is, because there's no real connection going on. And I do think that it's because there's just too much in terms of everyone's got to have a wife. There's got to be some emotional constraints going on. We have to have someone dying. We have to have a divorce. We have to have trying to figure out how we're going to get married. I think that could have got pulled out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I would agree that that's probably the weakest thing in the film is having these three guys, having people that they have to care for that you don't get a sense that they care for.
Yeah.
Right? Goldblum withstanding. Because he makes it.
He's like the exception to the rule of this movie.
Yeah, because there's not enough Pullman with his wife, and there's like all of a sudden she's down, and you got to go find her, and it's like, okay, like I don't know how much I really care about this. Mm-hmm. And then the Vivica A. Fox stuff is really just feel like ham-fisted in there, so Will Smith had someone that he had to save.
I didn't mind too much of it. A lot of my issues with that was just sort of like scene logistics stuff of he gets a helicopter and knows exactly where the fuck to fly in order to find her.
My other problem, too, that I kind of had that really bumped up with Pullman's character and all that was like, there's a hospital in Area 51.
Yeah.
Like, that was a full-on hospital. They were in a hospital room.
I guess the only reason I can think of is because it's so far away from everything, and like if one of them like accidentally cuts their hand open with a scalpel, they like need a first aid kit or something.
There you go. I mean, that's whatever However it gets explained, I just thought it was kind of odd.
It's a little odd.
I've never paid attention, and this time I was like, this feels like they're in an operating room. Like there's a doctor here. And then that guy was also an extra. He is a medical doctor, and then he is also with Jeff Goldblum when they're running down. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
You're talking about the black actor?
No. The guy with the goatee that says she's got internal bleeding. If we would have got to her sooner.
Okay, the older guy.
Kind of. I mean, he's like in his 30s. What the fuck you mean?
I'm going to be real with you. I don't really remember what he looks like.
Well, he's a jobber. I mean, I'm not sitting there like this guy had speaking lines. He said two things to Pullman, but so he's with Goldblum, and they're like, all right, get everything set, and they got everyone coming in, and he's jogging out. And I was like, okay, so he's a doctor, but also he's working on a spacecraft. Like how skilled is this man?
Yeah. Well, did this guy graduate from like MIT and then they just like recruited him secretly
to
like
I was kind of
the rest of his life in the desert?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I was like, I think it's the same guy. Which, anyways, that was just something that threw me off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you didn't mind Vivica A. Fox and that storyline?
I didn't mind her. I thought it was like kind of a pretty forward-thinking, progressive look at like that type of person and like her profession with like, you know, being a exotic dancer, a stripper, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I thought it was pretty.
You can just leave it at dancer.
Right.
I think that's how she described it.
I mean, exactly. Honestly, like the outfit she was wearing too when she was dancing, I'm like, I've seen skimpier shit at the beach. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Take.
It's 2026. We got booties and boobies out all the time. No, but I thought her scenes with the First Lady were actually like pretty effective and memorable. Like I thought that stuff was like, okay, there's like, we're getting a look at like the juxtaposition of these people in this situation where like you break down society and like expectations and perceptions of people. We're all on the same playing field.
Yeah.
And this movie is ultimately about like humanity coming together and like meeting on equal footing in order to like defeat a common enemy. And like, this scene is like a nice, quiet acknowledgement of that in a microcosm of like, you got this woman who's like in like one of the most prestigious positions, like First Lady, like, you know, she's been around like this life of luxury and power or whatever. And then you've got Vivica A. Fox, who's like a working class girl who has this job that a lot of people perceive as like less than.
Yeah.
And when they both kind of like find out who each other are, they just kind of laugh it off and are like, none of this really matters. Like, as long as you're taking care of me and I'm here to take care of you, this works.
You understand the message, man. Look at you go.
You know what?
It doesn't resonate with you.
Maybe I just need that as a whole movie. Her and Vivica A. Fox.
No, we don't need that. If they took that now, that's like a little cherry on top. They take that scene out or some of that stuff going on. Like it doesn't. Is the movie a less of a movie?
I mean, I think that it works as like the strength of like the smallest parts of what make this movie work.
Yeah.
For a lot of points, is just like the commonality we have between each other, and like that scene being a more or less direct acknowledgement of that, I think is, to me, vital.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that you like lose anything with like the plot or anything if you like completely remove it, but I just think in terms of my attachment to what this movie is going for, I think it's pretty effective.
Okay.
We are getting close, I think, to the wrap up. We should mention the Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith UFO flying into the mothership moments.
Okay.
How did you feel about that? Seeing the aliens and like their kind of environment and like a little bit more reliant on like the special effects and like, you know, getting to like kind of see how they operate. I didn't really mind why it was going for that, but it was like sort of just in line with how I was feeling about the lesser parts of this movie to me, where it's like, yeah, okay, we're kind of seeing them. Like, there's a lot of them. Yeah, it's like sort of losing the power that they had over the tension of this movie. And for me, it took a bit of time to get used to the dynamic between Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, where it's like we're taking these guys who are fundamentally feeling like they're from two different types of movies and finally putting them together.
Yeah.
And like having them bounce off each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like on purpose, but there's like an almost weird kind of awkward energy between the two.
I loved it.
Where like they don't really know each other, but like they're getting to that point. And I think it's through like the sheer charisma of both of them as actors that they like managed to make the later half of that scene work, where it's like, oh, they have a dynamic, they're like bouncing off each other, like this is fun, this is cool, I'm kind of into this. Whereas like when it started out, I'm like, I don't know if these pieces fit together.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're everything you're saying, you're nailing on the head. I really think it would be, I mean, to me, it's like, if you break it down, I'm like, it's kind of like when you get like a jock and a nerd together, you know, they both have like maybe some commonalities, probably a lot of differences, different outlooks on life, different past experiences. But like the more they start hanging out, they start to see that the more they share with each other, right? And especially they're sharing a huge experience of nuking a fucking alien spaceship,
Right.
You know, like you're
no one else will be able to understand what they went through.
exactly like you kind of realize in the moment, and they're also playing with house money too, because like I didn't realize that they know they're stuck, and I don't know why I've never really paid attention, because I guess I just assumed they'd always leave, but like they both are staring death in the face, and they're kind of going the Russell Case way of being like, you know what, like we came here to do a mission. Hey, you're the last person I'm going to see, and I've known you for 20 minutes, right? So I mean, like,
let's just have a cigar together.
yeah, like they're bound to. There's going to be some sort of bonding there, like whether you like it or not. Like you're not going to go out and be like, all right, I'm about to die. Fuck this guy, you know?
Right.
So like I really like the dynamic between them, where you're seeing both of the alphas kind of pop out. Like, and Will Smith backs this thing up backwards, and Jeff Goldblum's like, hey, like, oops. And then he has one, you know, so it's like, you know, here's my strength, I'm judging you. Also, like, I just fucked up, sorry about that. And it kind of helps them feel a little bit more human with what they're doing.
Yeah,
where it's not just superhero mentality.
There's almost a power to the idea that they are just kind of trying to figure out the dynamic between each other.
Yeah.
While they're on this like life and death mission that is like essentially like the most important thing in the movie.
Yeah, and they're both doing things for the very first time, with Will Smith driving the spaceship and Jeff Goldblum having to upload the virus.
Hacking into the alien mothership with Windows 95.
That's the other thing that I had to beef too. I was like, I don't know how you get on a local network here. Like, I was like,
oh, let me just connect to the mothership's Wi-Fi. I think the password is butt fucking humans.
Yeah, guest. How about that?
Oh, yeah, it must be all lowercase. I gotta enter it again.
There was something that popped up on the computer, which I also thought was kind of funny. I was like, maybe back in the time too, because computers were kind of foreign, right? Like everyone's just now starting to get a home computer.
Right, like what all can these things do?
Yeah, so like they could have did whatever, but now that where we're at now, it's like, hold on one second, you know. And it said some sort of message on it that was pretty silly, and I was like, yeah, this is where this movie feels dated at points.
Yeah.
And it's not just the technology, because this actually plays kind of like a Breaking Bad scenario, where if they would have had all this stuff right now, it could be very easily assumed that, oh, that laptop still works. It has some, like, if you put it into present time, right? There's nothing really going outside with the environment that would suggest it's from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Maybe outside of the clothing. But
the cars.
Yeah. But looking at the technology piece, I was like, man, if they weren't so focused on trying to make this seem so believable during the time, and just kind of from an outside perspective, like he's using the laptop, I was like, this could have easily passed. Maybe not as dated.
Yeah. There is something to be said about the idea that if you made this movie today and Jeff Goldblum tried hacking into the mothership with like an iPhone, there would just be something immediately taken out of the tension of it, where it's just like, the fuck are we doing? An iPhone? Like, was this product placement? What the hell?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's, you know, not a bad scene, but there is a lot of shakiness to it when it comes to like showing the hordes of the aliens and like just kind of like living in that.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I needed to have an inside look at this. Like what you've given me so far feels good, and just have it, like even having the little fucker right there, just kind of being like, oh, this is my platform.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, I know. I loved him. It's just like I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. I was like, I wish we just didn't have that going on, where maybe it's like a blacked out wall, and you like some, you know, just them letting us know there's someone behind it.
There's like an inherent silliness to just seeing him back there, like bobbing around.
And then what hurts is then they show kind of like the horde of them all, and then it's like, now you're getting into like, all right, now I'm really thinking about how do these things live. Now it just feels like iRobot, where we're just seeing like hundreds of them, and like the impact is just kind of not there anymore. Well, they're robots, so like these things are like, so you could almost do like a skit from this thing of like, hey, meet Ted. You know, and he's just this thing. It's like, how does Ted go about his day? And then you see him like, you know, maneuvering around this like industrial spaceship.
Right.
And
He's just like a line worker for the aliens.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now they're like they have jobs. Like there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchical structure with this fucking thing. Like
yeah.
I didn't.
Like,
yeah,
who's the manager?
Yeah, that's what I'm
talk to him?
like. You almost like expect another one of those things to walk in while like it's shaking. You remember when it's like, oh, they're trying to leave. It's like, whoa, not on my platform. And then it's like,
right.
Hey, Frank, what's happening over there? Like, I don't know. This asshole's trying to get out.
It's kind of like the They Live thing where they're like aliens, but they're in like suits and ties, and they're wondering what the fuck Roddy Piper's doing.
Yeah, that's where it loses it for me, because then you start getting a little bit more of a look at it, and I'm like, now I'm questioning like, what do they do?
Right.
You know, like before it was just, we're gonna fucking kill Earth, take over. You kind of see us. We got these biomechanical suits that we operate in, and now it's, you know, does that guy have a family?
Right. Do we want to? Was there anything else we wanted to say about Independence Day before we move on?
No, it's a great discussion.
We have not seen this. Well, I have not seen the sequel.
We have not seen. I'm not taking.
We have not seen the sequel. So you haven't seen that movie in full. You said you tried watching it 3 times.
Yeah, I've when I woke up on July 5th was the 4th time that I've ever laid my eyes on that thing, and yeah, I've only gotten in. I think one time I got 40 or 50 minutes into it. Like it was, like the clouds started rolling in and the aliens were coming down. And that's as far as I got. And I think it's only like a 96-minute movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A Roland Emmerich
Hold on.
movie that's that short? That's crazy.
I could be way off. I mean, this thing could be like 2.5 hours too.
Franchise.
We're both racing to find it.
120 minutes. So 2 hours. Exactly.
Oh, God.
Which for Roland Emmerich is kind of on the shorter side.
Yeah,
I
let's
feel like.
put it in credits and all that stuff, probably. Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, so I must have got towards the start of the second act, and that's as far as I've ever gotten in this thing.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say we have no real plans to cover it.
No. I've got no interest in ever. That might be a Preston movie.
Yeah.
My movies now are on like safe action movies. I'm like, I've never checked this out, but I know it's going to be bad, and he'll get enjoyment out of it. And if I step out of the room, I don't feel like guilty for not what, you know, like I didn't put it on for me.
You're almost like shielding yourself by like having your son watch it.
It's an excuse. If people ever, why'd you watch? It's like, oh, my kid. It's like,
you have a safe buffer there.
Yeah. Like if I ran into you and you're like, yeah, it was 9 o'clock at night, I threw on Independence Day 2, I would stare at you. That'd be judgment.
Right. It's like when I went and saw Minions by myself.
Yeah.
In a movie theater.
You were asked to see that though.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Sign.
There's a difference where you're like, nah, I just wanted to watch it.
Well, from other people's point of view, I probably looked very sus, just like sitting there by myself without a kid.
I still don't. That
watching
thing's
it in
90% on Rotten Tomatoes, it is mind blowing.
It's baffling to me how many people are giving the movie the barest minimum credit for being a quote unquote love letter to cinema, when I feel like the way it's portraying that stuff, and we talked about it in that episode, is just the same kind of referential treatment that the Mario movie has to the games.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you're just kind of like showing it ass first and that's it, like in the most like kind of barefaced substanceless way.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like how the amount of praise it's getting is kind of baffling.
I don't even know if it's praise. There's like, so I've heard a couple other people talk about it, and it is like how you would discuss something where you're like, yeah, it's okay, you know, like I won't remember much, and it did its job, and then you're like, yeah, no, good movie, and it's like, how? Why?
I feel like a lot of it is the low expectations people had with it being a Minion movie, who have seen the other movies and saw those as the dog shit that they are.
Yeah.
And were just like, oh, wow, this movie includes things that I like.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm liking it more. And it's like, this is maybe the reason you should like it less, is because it is including the things that you care about in a way that feels mindless and brain dead.
Yeah, like seriously, like, don't, you know, you watch it and you're like, well, it's not for me. Well, they'll say it's for the kids and they're getting like some entertainment, and it will maybe, like I said, I think it might produce a thought for the younger audiences. And that's about as like most, you know, condemnable or whatever you want to say. Commendable that I could get about it. Right. But then people are like, yeah, no, so it's good. It's like, how do you fucking say all that stuff? And then you're like, yeah.
Yeah. It truly, is the Gustavo Fring line from Breaking Bad, where he looks at Walter and goes, "Explain yourself."
Yeah.
Like,
I need more. If you're gonna tell me that you're gonna give it a thumbs up, you better fucking tell me why.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's our talk for Independence Day.
That's our discussion on Independence Day. I think a very good discussion that we had.
Think I have anything else?
I think we touched on most of what we wanted to. One thing I did read that was kind of interesting was this movie kind of set the precedent for previewing movie trailers during the Super Bowl. Oh. So I think it was Super Bowl 30 that this movie kind of like pushed a lot of the advertising for.
Packers versus the Patriots?
It was like Triple X. I'm not good with Roman numerals.
Well,
so
that's a different movie.
Whichever one that my apologies.
That's Super Bowl 30, yeah.
We're not talking about Xander Cage right now.
Yeah.
But no, this movie kind of set the precedent for we're premiering a blockbuster trailer during the Super Bowl to get more eyes on it and to get hype.
Okay.
So that was something interesting I learned, and I thought you would enjoy it because sports.
Sport ball. Yeah.
Shall we get into ratings?
Yes.
You go first.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Oh, man.
You have to wait for mine.
Oh, I got it. I don't think yours will be bad, nor will it be good. I think it's going to be flat down the road, which is like it's understandable. No, this thing it holds a place in my heart. I mean, we saw this when I was young. I watched this on. I think almost like every Independence Day we throw this on, and it's some people do it for irony. I do it just because it's like I really enjoy just watching this film. There are some lull parts in here. Viewing it this time around, it's not changing anything, but it definitely has opened up my eyes that this is a little bit more dated, probably not as insanely good as I once thought it was. But that won't change anything. One of the things that we didn't get into was the script. I know you had your issues with the script.
We kind of ancillary touched on it a little bit with like some of the like character choices and like the incongruity of like scene logistics and just like some of the lack of emotional payoff that I felt towards the end. Yeah,
and I definitely now see it more as a plot device, right, as opposed to building up. However, one of the things that I really like is that what you see now in movies versus what this one does, and I guarantee it, you watch another action film, you'll see it. They lay out the stakes, they lay out how they're going to get there, they lay everything out for you, whether it's exposition or they sit down and talk to another character that's only going to be around for 5 minutes and say, this is what we're doing, right? And they really treat the audience as not being sophisticated or being able to keep up with what's going on. Like Spielberg has done that to great effect, and it even in Disclosure Day, like it was constantly explaining what next steps are, right? And that's why I feel a little insulted watching that thing too. This movie, I think, does a fantastic job with laying out dialogue and events and having like honest conversations, which like with whatever's going on feel appropriate. There are times where it may be thrusted in, where like you're talking your alien horror scene, right? Or maybe it's just by chance we find the first lady, But outside of that, I really feel like a lot of what's happening as we're walking down the path, it does feel a little bit self-discovery, And yeah, like alien telling you that all they want to do is see you die and give you out the plans of what's going to happen, for sure. But how else are you going to get there? Yeah,
so, for sure.
I mean, I don't knock it from it being a 90s film, but what I really do like is that there's a lot of the conversations that are happening feel very in the moment, as opposed to like being written down to tell the audience what's going to happen, right? And I don't know if you felt that way or not when you were watching it, and I'll give my rating and then you can answer it because I know we're doing ratings right now,
right?
But yeah, that was one of the things that I did appreciate with this time, is that more of the dialogue and conversations and things happening. So, anyways. Long story short, this movie's kick-ass. I love it. Never go away. 10 out of 10.
Nice.
This is I don't know if it'd be a wine cellar, but this is actually probably like hanging out with the boys. I got this kind of cool beer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, you guys haven't tried this yet?
Yeah, like, come on, man. Let's go out in the backyard and just sit by a campfire and drink this bad boy. Yeah.
So I am glad that this is a movie that is so near and dear to your heart. Hopefully, with my rating, I won't be ripping it in two.
No, you can't. Listen, Twister shone a light on that. I need to be guarded.
You don't let me yuck your yums. Honestly, that's like the biggest takeaway, and I'm being real when I say this with this podcast, is that we do not want to yuck anyone's yums. If you like the Minions movie, you like the Minions movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you like Independence Day, you like Independence Day. You know, I think it's just like is a matter of perspective.
One of the one of the things that I always hear is like, I wish I could like it, but also I'm not going to tread on you.
Yeah.
Right? Like I will tell you about all the qualms I had with it. I think it's not a great film or whatever. Maybe it's fantastic.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if that's something that you like to sit down and watch, that's your cup of tea, man, and keep going for it.
Right. At most, we will ask you, like, help us see what you see in this movie.
That's actually what we do quite a bit when we talk on this is change the perspective.
Yeah. Like,
right?
help me out here.
Yeah.
I need some guidance. So watching this movie 2 times pretty in quick succession, both in terms of like my own personal homework for the Trevor episode, but also for this episode, specifically talking about it. It did jump up a little bit in terms of like my rating and how I felt from that first to the second viewing. There's like a little bit more appreciation I have, especially in terms of like, you know, the first hour of this. I think the momentum's pretty good. I think a lot of the performances meet up to what this movie is trying to do. Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, and Will Smith obviously being the 3 major standouts. It does feel adherent to Roland Emmerich's tendency to not leave any stone unturned in terms of like the subject of the movie he's talking about when it comes to like, how can we view this at all possible angles? And I think for better or worse, you get a product that reflects that. For me, the middle chunk of this is pretty dour. The pacing of it just kind of, to me, grinds to a halt after they launch the nuke at the UFO and then up until Goldblum and Smith launch into space. And to me, that's a pretty decent chunk of the movie that really kind of holds it down for me with some stuff in between that is a little incongruous and I just don't care for. Certain characters that I really have a hard time latching onto. But, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to like viewing this again in the future with like a different mindset or like maybe have different people around me to help me out, kind of understand the experience of what people like getting out of this. But for right now, Mac is pretty dead on when he said that my thoughts on this are pretty down the middle. This is a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10? Holy shit. That is not what I was thinking, 6 or 7. My God.
I had it at a 4 the first time I saw it.
Oh, it's fucking.
I bumped it up a little.
Aliens trying to take over the world, and the president in a fighter jet taking them down.
I'm gonna be Judd Hirsch. What do you want from me? I look like a schlemiel.
Yeah, that is.
Is that okay for me to say I'm not Jewish? Much like James Rebhorn says in this movie, I'm not Jewish. Is that forgivable? Everybody makes mistakes.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm referencing this.
Perfect.
I'm referencing the scene in which they're praying, and James Rebhorn says I'm not Jewish.
He goes, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
James Rebhorn too. Also, just quick side, biggest piece of shit in the sick. Like,
he's a great piece of shit character actor. We lost him in 2013, I think. Rest in peace.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he was like a great, it's that guy.
Yes.
Where like you see him pop up and stuff, and it's like I know I'm in good hands when he's on screen.
Yes, he does a really good job, especially in this one playing Slimy. Like everything you do is wrong. Mm-hmm. I was like, boy, it feels like anything. Like you might as well take a chance on something.
His delivery of
crash landed back in the 50s. We don't even know if it's operable, and it's like, bro, we're about to get exterminated. Like I need you to think outside the box.
His delivery of the line. Actually, sir, that's not quite accurate.
Yes.
Is like, only he could do it this way. And then, of course, Harvey Feinstein playing the character of Marty, David's friend in New York, who has the voice of 1,000 smokers.
Yes.
Yeah. Who,
David! David!
We should acknowledge pretty iconic LGBT representation, even back then in this movie, even though it's not stated outright. He played... I think the mother from Hairspray in the original Broadway show.
Oh, okay.
So
very cool.
Yeah, just kind of acknowledging that.
Yeah.
But yes, I do want to attempt my best version of his character, David.
Yeah.
David. Oh, it's all over the news, David.
Yeah.
Which that is about the length of time I can afford my throat to do that. So I am going to stop right there. And even then, I feel like I might have extended my ability. Speaking of extending your ability, did Mel Gibson extend his power when it came to fucking slaughtering the redcoats, those goddamn British bastards? I am, of course, referencing Mac's recommendation of The Patriot.
The Patriot.
The Patriot, not Patriot Day, which is a different movie starring Mark Wahlberg.
Yep, we don't even need to. That came and went. We have The Patriot.
We have The Patriot, your recommendation, so take it away.
2000 film The Patriot. 2 hours and 45 glorious minutes.
That's the word you want to use to describe it? Sure.
Directed by Roland Emmerich, written by Robert Rodat. Starring Mel Gibson as Benjamin Martin, the Patriot. Heath Ledger as Gabriel Martin, God rest his soul. Joy Richardson in a very spicy role of Charlotte Shelton, Aunt Charlotte.
Ooh, Aunt Charlotte.
Yeah. Jason Isaacs playing one of the best villains with Colonel William Tavington.
Unbelievable performance.
Chris Cooper as Colonel Harry Burrell. Man, I was excited to say this guy. I don't think I'm gonna get it. Tcheki Caro as Jean Villeneuve, and last one.
That's about as best as I could have done. Also,
yeah, right. Have you? That guy's like, he's been in like, there's like, I've only seen him in 3 or 4 films, but he's so recognizable to me.
I can't say that I recognized him, but I appreciated that his last name was Villeneuve, because that's the last name of my favorite director.
And then we have Tom Wilkinson as General Lord Charles Cornwallis. And, Adam Baldwin as Captain Wilkins.
Baldwin returns. He was also in Independence Day. I guess he's a Roland Emmerich player.
Yes, that was my first thought too. I mean, these were back-to-back films for me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot! I didn't even piece it together that he's in both these things."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so The Patriot, 2000 kicks off with Benjamin Martin talking about his sins catching up to him, and then we get this peaceful landscape on the backdrop of 1976. As we're building up for the revolution going on, and we're in Charlestown, I believe pronounced at the time, about, hey, are we going to start funding the states? Like, are we going to start collecting money to help out with the army as we try to take down the Brits? There's local militias going around. Can we inspire some of these people, if they're not going to join the army? Can they at least band forces together to take them down? And the town elects that they're going to help out, but Benjamin Martin is going to do no such thing. He's got a family. He's a family man now. All right, he's got crops.
He's absolutely a family man. He had fucking 7 kids.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see his wife.
Well, you can't. She's dead.
Yeah.
The most you saw of her is a tombstone.
Yeah. Get him. So he doesn't want any piece of it, right? He doesn't want any piece of the war, and
no, thank you, he says.
His son Gabriel decides that he's going to join because he's going to fight the noble cause. He needs to partake in the revolution, and Benjamin Martin, all he can do is keep up with the letters, is what's going on with Gabriel, and kind of apply some of his past experiences for where Gabriel's at, and the war starts pushing a little south. Washington forces are retreating. We're starting to get closer and closer to the colony of South Carolina, Charlestown. And one day, a swarm of soldiers pop up, British and American. I guess we're just called American soldiers at that time. And,
I guess so.
He houses them, and Gabriel's there, and he kind of figures out what's going on. And you really see the good graces of Benjamin Martin as he wants to be able to aid anyone. It doesn't matter.
Right.
He'll provide quarters, red coat, blue coat, doesn't matter. And one of the Colonel Tavington shows up and says, "No, sir, we're not playing this game."
Lucius Malfoy himself shows up. This time with brown hair.
And one of the most vile, despicable things that you could probably do at this time, really giving in to what this guy stands for, decides that he's going to kill the blue coats, burn the farm. Anyone aiding the American army is going to be without a home. Let it be a message. And then we're killing everyone. So poor Gabriel, is set to be assassinated or hanged as a message, right?
Executed.
And the younger brother decides he's going to bear arms and save Gabriel, only to be slaughtered by Colonel Tavington, and thus unlocking the force of the Ghost, Benjamin Martin.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler alerts for The Patriots.
Yeah, can I tell you real quick? So this is I don't know about a core memory. It could be close. So 2000. I was very heavily invested. You know, my dad's coaching Muskegon football, right? And really invested always in the season because I got to meet the players. You know, I was like a ball boy, and we were always on the sidelines. So it was always very cool. And you know, it's football, right? It's got to come to an end at some point. And we just won a huge playoff game, you know, and we're set to play the next game, and I don't know why my parents had rented the Patriot from Blockbuster,
Mm-hmm.
and the football game was on a Saturday, right? And
Yeah.
I think I was playing doing something where I didn't get to watch it with my dad when he watched it because there's no tits in this thing, right? So I can watch it, of course. And
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, and you know, so it's a Saturday, and I've got a birthday party later that day that I'm going to. You know, oh boy, here we go. Little 10-year-old Mac here. Lose the football game. And I just remember I'm crying the whole way home. It was in Granville, so it's about a 40-minute car ride. I'm just, you know, I'm sobbing because, like, the season's over with. Kids are going to go away. You know, we have to wait a whole nother season for football to start. And they had the Patriots. So I came in, and I was like, hey, Mom, I'm gonna watch this film before I go to the birthday party, you know? And we got home. It must have started at 6 because we got home at like 3. Mm-hmm. And I had just enough time to where I could watch this thing. And I shit you not, I probably bawled as much in this movie as I did on the car ride home.
Oh, no.
Dude.
Double heartbreaker for young Mackie.
All of that stuff could not fathom. And it's like 10-year-old me watching, you know, these kids die and fucking legs getting shot off and
Someone's head getting blown off.
yeah, like it was insane. That was a great viewing experience. I just remember how attached I was to this film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you're going to get with me coming from this thing, is always having that viewing experience and first time, like, just the emotions I shared with this thing. Like,
Absolutely.
we had moments, me and the Patriots. So that's where I'm at with how I saw this. Kyle, how say you?
So I was like vaguely aware of this movie. I had no idea it was directed by Roland Emmerich until you recommended it.
Me neither.
It didn't seem like the type of movie that would have been kind of up his alley, but after watching it, I disagree with my past self quite a bit. The only things I really knew about it, even before your recommendation, came out around this time period. It's set in like revolutionary times, and that it has Mel Gibson in it.
Yep.
And that's all I was going into it.
That's a recipe for success right there.
I mean, listen, you take kind of the Braveheart thing and you put him in the American Revolution and see how that goes.
Hell yeah.
And watching this movie, especially off the back of Independence Day, a movie that I was like pretty mixed on. I was
5
like,
out of 10.
I was like, all right, Roland. Like, what do you got for me here? What do you got? And I was pretty intrigued, especially knowing Roland Emmerich as a filmmaker gravitates towards like kind of those big budget blockbuster disaster movies. I'm like, what's his take on like a period piece? Like, what's his take on like a kind of epic war movie? And I was more or less intrigued by what the result of this was, and I had a fun time.
Ooh,
I had a fun time.
Okay.
I think this movie is very, very, very flawed.
Nah, okay,
And
maybe.
we can maybe get into it. But I was satisfied. I left
Okay.
satisfied. I went in and I was like, I'm gonna get like a big ass patriotic cheeseburger, and that's pretty much what I got.
What movie is more patriotic, this or Independence Day?
I mean, there's an argument,
Right.
I think. If you are going off of just the pure feelings of what America needs to be to rise to the occasion, probably Independence Day.
That's close, man, because this whole thing is like, I mean, obviously.
I think that not to like front load my issues at like from the get. I think a lot of what this movie kind of like keeps me from thinking of it as like a purely like, oh, this is a patriotic movie, even though it's literally in the title, is just some of the kind of like lack of portrayal of certain things, or like how certain aspects of this time period are like glossed over. And I want to make it clear.
Okay.
And I think you are in the same kind of ballpark as I am.
We'll find out.
I really do not give a shit about the idea of historical accuracy in movies like this. There is a whole section on Wikipedia of historical inaccuracies that are just like listed in like huge blocks of paragraphs that I like kind of skimmed. I was gonna read it, and then I thought to myself, this really has like no basis of how I feel about this as a movie. And where I feel about like what it's doing in terms of that. I will say some of the issues that I have a little bit more to do with like the portrayal of the time period and like how I feel that
having sex with your sister's sister or your wife's sister.
We can talk about that. That was one of the more intriguing parts of the movie to me. That maybe or maybe doesn't fully address that as a notion. But no, I'm just talking about like the general like kind of texture of the time period not really being touched on as much as I thought it could have been. So like, you know, the idea of how it approaches slavery and other races and like that dynamic, and how this movie really doesn't even include a lot of indigenous stuff really at all. Yeah, like it just kind of like keeps that stuff really to the side, and I'm still
there was they shared a lot of culture at Fort Collins,
right? And like that being the only thing you kind of get from that is like, I don't know about this. I want to preface this by saying I like this movie. I had fun with this movie.
Oh, you don't have to get into like just keep going. I don't lay it out, man.
I think that there is just a fundamental thing keeping the bar from going any higher with this movie for me.
Hopefully you can explain it, because that's what I don't get.
In terms of just like the dressing of the time period and like kind of showing that with not really that much depth in terms of like what you could do with like the dynamics of like the racial stuff and like the indigenous stuff and like
that's not a Roland Emmerich film, my man.
I mean, and maybe that's I think that's just the issue with it. Yeah. Is like I'm not fully buying into what he's delivered to me. Like, yeah, it's a decent meal and I'll eat it, and like, you know, I'll give the Uber Eats delivery guy like 3 out of, you know, whatever stars or whatever.
Whoa.
But I don't know. There's just like I just think Roland Emmerich is just not my guy. No. At the end of like this experiment, this kind of like double feature sort of thing.
Experience.
Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. Should have put on my 3D glasses. Maybe the blood would come out, jump into me on screen. You
saw that cannonball hit you.
I know. I would have had my head taken off. I just think he is not my filmmaker.
No, I'm kind of from both these films viewing experiences. I was at a very good time for him to be the guy that I'm watching, the director that I'm seeing. As a young, just a young kid, I don't need that emotional depth with everything. I don't need things to be very deep or concerning with the environment around it, right? Like as you're talking about this one, like I don't need him to explain how tobacco picking works or like how the commerce or how we're working around with the communities in here, right? Like it's not all white. Like we have our African American community. I mean, the slaves. We have the indigenous community, the Native Americans that they talk about fighting, right? You have people that are making money versus not making money. Like kind of like what's society look like, right? Like let's get a little bit more on that outside of just kicking ass and getting people. But as a 10-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, having those movies where I didn't need that, I think played out. So I'm really starting to get a sense of like, oh, these action movies when I say like I need a little plot, a good amount of action, and some other, very surface level things going on. I think that's him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and I really think, and that's why, like, looking at his filmography, I'm starting to realize, like, I started drifting away because he kept the same, and I grew more with how I'm watching movies.
Right.
And it's like, I see now why it's just not my cup of tea now.
I can maybe get behind the idea that, like, there's almost a sort of, like, endearing, naive quality about a movie like this existing where it's, like, just purely concerned about, like, kind of the momentous action in the story and like
it's a fucking like you said unfolds. There's historical inaccuracies. You need to give a shit about it. Like that's the whole the whole movie's set up with like, hey, we're we're taking a guy and instead of being in Afghanistan, or I don't want. I mean, I can't even think. Like it's a historical depiction, or a historical fictional depiction of the time, right? So like, you're just picking out a story, and we're going to use the Revolutionary War as a backdrop. It's not necessarily the center or the focus of it.
To me, it's just like not really including any indigenous stuff, and really kind of just like surface level bouncing off of the like slavery and other racial stuff. To me, almost gives this movie an excuse, like a pass of like, oh, we're gonna implement these things or not implement them so that you're able to like care about these characters more. Because if we had
gloss on it,
we're gonna really gloss on it like in the most like bare way possible. Because if we even try to acknowledge this in a way that's like actually depicting what took place in real life, then you're gonna fucking hate these people. And there's going to be a lot more that you're going to have to reckon with as an audience.
Benjamin Martin, they were free men that he paid to work the fields.
Yes, and that feels very convenient to him as a character.
But I'm saying,
and like that, the way the story unfolds that way.
If you looked it up, was that a thing? Now you could say 90% of the population had slaves at that time, but is he part of that 10%, or is that just wasn't a thing?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not like the biggest history buff.
That's what I'm, so whether it's like, it is convenient, it's not unfathomable. Now, is it a very small percentage? For sure. Mm-hmm. I would almost say that if that wasn't a thing, yes, I would bump up heavily against that, because now we are using that just to make this more convenient to stay away. Yeah. But it's almost like, hey, there were people that were like this, how he was, right? It still plays into, okay, I mean, you can get behind it a little bit more, because he could be that one, part of the 3% or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, that is a factor in this movie. There's also just the idea that like the one major black character that's in it, he's only really defined by his slavery and like his sought out freedom. Yeah. And that to me is just like, it's a similar Roland Emmerich thing of Independence Day, where
it's a plot device.
It's a plot device, no stone left unturned. We got to touch on like all these aspects, which to me is like kind of surprising why they don't include more of like the tapestry of this time period in a movie like this, where you would think that
2 hours and 45 minutes already.
I know, dude, it's fucking long as shit. And maybe I'm like, gilded cage. We should appreciate what we have, but it to me feels like almost sort of like the other way of how he approached Independence Day, where it's like you would think he would want to put all this stuff on the table. You would think he would want to include more of like what took place in this time period in terms of like how people perceived each other and races and like different classes and all that stuff, to kind of like get that maximalist viewpoint that he so often has in a lot of his other movies.
Yeah, but I think you're taking that's a. I don't think I'll even be able to articulate this all that well, but like you were taking economics, you're taking what do we call that, societal? I'm trying to think.
Classism,
economics, commerce. I mean, how they're operating, being governed by a different country, putting together founding principles to put our country up. Mm-hmm. I just think that that's way too heavy of a trying to lift that and be even careful with how you're approaching it.
Right. And maybe part of it too is just like, if you are not going to touch on that stuff all too much, then why even include some of it at all?
Like what?
Well, it's just like the idea that you have to acknowledge that, like, oh, the workers on his farm aren't slaves, and that, like, we have to acknowledge that because of the time period. But it's almost like maybe it would have been beneficial if, like, you didn't have that aspect of the movie at all.
Did it play in with Mel Gibson's character and playing him off being a little bit more of a pacifist, or being more caring about the people around him, and it making it a little bit more important with his view on why we shouldn't go to war, and also playing against himself? It's hey, like, we have something good going here, but also I don't want this to happen because I don't want my kids to join because that's all they want to do. Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit more that goes into just looking. I think it plays a lot into who Mel Gibson is or how he operates, as opposed to just looking at the time and the period in itself.
Sure, and it's not like this movie is entirely like a lot of his other movies in that there's like, you know, different main characters at different points, because at the end of the day, this is a very kind of like personal story that's focused on a central character. Obviously, like there's other perspectives that we jump to just to like see the moving pieces come together, but it's a story that's ultimately about him and like his character and how he kind of props himself up and how he almost represents like the ideal American.
Yes.
And like, you know, just like approaching all this different stuff.
Empathy,
and I guess,
sympathy, looking at different cultures and having some perspective on what they do.
Right, which to me is like one of the more effective parts of this movie, and coupled with like Mel Gibson's pretty consistently good performance, I think is like really what puts this movie above that edge for me of just like, I'm liking a lot of like the focus on him and like this kind of sort of like retrofitted Braveheart kind of story with this character, just set in this time period of like him seeking revenge and like figuring out how to do it in a way that like fits the conflict. I thought it was like pretty creative and well executed for the most part. Like I thought that stuff was pretty compelling, especially when, and I'll tell you the moment I like leaned forward in my seat thinking to myself, this movie got the juice, was the scene when he kills the 20 guys to save Heath Ledger.
Oh, man. Are you talking about the very first swamp scene?
The very first one.
Aim small, miss small?
Yes, where he's got his two sons helping him out. But for the most part, it's just him going through, like, mowing down these dudes.
Dude.
And I'm like, is this movie fucking good? Like, is there something to this? And I don't know. From there, it's just like, okay, I'm ready for, like, the moments of fun that this movie is going to have to offer me. And I think I felt that more or less through this movie in a way that like felt pretty consistent, albeit with like a few exceptions here and there.
It's moments here and there where there's a little bit of a lull when we start getting a little bit more into the relationships.
And it's a similar thing to Independence Day for me, where like I'm really feeling the runtime at certain points. Like let's get going, come on here. But I don't know. It was, like I said, I'm overall satisfied with my experience of this movie.
I couldn't help but think watching it this time, because once again, probably the millionth time I've watched The Patriot, how traumatized his kids would be.
Oh my God.
Like every time you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, like that'd be kick ass. Me, my dad, my brother, like killing Red. Fuck yeah. And then like being a dad and just being like, holy shit, I just asked my kid to kill 4 people and he watched me like massacre someone. Mutilate.
When this movie opens up and it makes it a point to mention that Mel Gibson's character has 7 children, I'm thinking to myself, not all these kids are gonna fucking make it, are they? Like,
really?
Something's gonna something's gonna happen, especially because like 2 of them are like on the verge of adulthood. And it's like nothing good this way comes from having this many kids in this time period.
I just didn't think they would have axed one of them on the farm.
Oh yeah,
like that one was like, whoa.
That really it's very simple. It's very kind of like building block level storytelling, but it does effectively get across how much of a motherfucker Jason Isaacs' character is.
I think also it plays into Mel Gibson at this point, outside of his little like I was feared that my sins would come back to get me, and
that and like just being brought to the breaking point of having to make a choice when the movie opens up with him being the most neutral he can possibly be while trying to avoid conflict.
I feel like he feels very he seems like a very caring. I'm trying to think.
It's like very empathetic.
Yeah, like he's got some skeleton in his closet. He could like if he looks like he could just turn the corner on you.
A man dealing with shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, you could describe almost any Mel Gibson character that way.
But like, and every time he does it too, there's a very soft side about him, a very caring side where he lets you know that like, while I do have people working on my farm, I pay these individuals. They're not slaves, right? And you're almost like, yeah, that fits the profile. Mm-hmm. Like he would be very reasonable about that. Like I don't think any of his actions made it feel like he was fighting himself at all. Like and it with what's going on with his kids, with the war and the letters and trying to join the army and Gabriel, like you feel very much that he is caring for the people that he's watching over.
Yeah, like once you reach a certain point in this movie, especially after like his son is murdered in front of him, You get the sense that like there's a surety and a certainty to how he feels about himself as a character.
Yes.
And like how he just like carries himself with like a level of like a sense of code and honor.
Yes.
That he knows better than anybody else about himself. And like part of what makes this movie kind of interesting is like different characters reckoning with him and like how he carries himself. So like Heath Ledger, for example, like him saying to his dad, like, you know, these guys know you better than I do, and I'm your son. Like, and him asking, like, you know, so what happened at this fort? Like, you know, what happened with the French and like all this stuff? I don't know. It's just like there's an emotional core to this that is at the very center of this as a guy that I think is like the thing that works the best.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Piper's trying to chew on my headphones. That's her contribution to The Patriot as a movie.
But yeah, that's where I like how you said too. Like there's a countdown going on. He's got to make a choice when his kid. It's before his son's murdered too.
It's like
do I protect the 6 here? Or do I save the 1 there? Right.
Frog in the boiling pot. You got to make a choice.
Yes. Yeah, and then that's what kicks it off, and he still maintains that reservedness about him. The guard, like you said, you know, well, I don't want to say guard, but code, honor, principled man.
There's no point in which like he loses his humanity entirely. Like,
really?
Well, not in the movie that we see him. Like, obviously, like he tells the story of what he did.
No, did you see what he did to that guy after his son was killed in the river? I would say he might have lost that.
He lost it a little bit there. He lost it a little bit, but then he kind of like reins it back in, and you never really see him get that savage again.
No, you don't. You can tell he's calculated, right? And like you said, he knows himself better than others know him.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you watch a movie like this where it's like, oh, it's a movie about like a complicated man with complicated feelings, and he doesn't like quite know how to reconcile with them, and it's like. That's the thing that Mel Gibson can deliver you in like a movie from the 90s or early 2000s where it's like, this guy's pretty sure of what he's doing.
Yeah, I would say almost the only time you ever see him really unravel is when grief hits him. Like he really just doesn't know how to. He understands what he's done, right? He understands that all of his actions have led up to this point, but it's almost like, and like he said, you know, when they come back to get him, you know. That's what he can't carry or bear, you know, and I think he does such a fantastic job. I think after Gabriel's killed and he's got his hair going everywhere, and the Colonel Cooper, Chris Cooper's talking with him, and he can't even make eye contact with him because he's like, I'm a shell of a man now. Like I've lost 2 kids. I don't know what this war means. I wasn't even really big on it beforehand, you know. And I think he just does that so well when he's playing with like loss and grief in this thing, and also like being calculated.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of calculated, Jason Isaacs.
No, he wasn't. You always do. I think it's more.
He's kind of just an icy bastard.
Yeah, I don't know if that's calculated. That's just kind of like, hey, let's go just fuck like with cruelty. His family. Yeah, like how calculated is that? I need to get at this guy. What can we do?
Icy emotionless cruelty. Yeah. So I read that originally they had offered the role to Jude Law.
Nope.
Which I'm glad they went with Jason Isaacs. I feel like Jude Law wouldn't have been able to capture the like fucking just absolute bastard energy that you would need for this character.
Jude Law would be more of like intellectual villain, right? And I don't
think kind of high status, like ha 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 ha.
Yeah. I think Jason Isaacs in this has somewhat of that.
Somewhat, but you can tell he's so fucking good in this movie. The way he's able to portray the character in a way that tells you I am not like the other British officers.
Yes.
I have like my own little fucking weird shit going on in my head that like just compels me to commit atrocities.
Yes.
Is so compelling.
Yes.
I mean, he is basically doing a version of playing Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter.
He's doing that before that. Lucius Malfoy is playing a version of Colonel Tavington.
You know what? I stand corrected.
Harry Potter never supersedes what this man did here. It's almost like he tapped into that role when he was playing Lucius.
I mean, I'm sure he did. But it really just like the perfect encapsulation of just like evil British bastard who has like no redeeming quality whatsoever. There's like not an overcomplication to him.
No.
You can maybe read into it a little bit more if you want to, of like this guy like maybe wants to have the power that is afforded to men that are able to make more rational decisions than him. But you know, that hunger is always there.
Well, I think if you want to be, if you want to give him more credit, I think he's looking at what the militia was doing and what the American army was doing, hiding in swamps, hiding behind stuff, ambushing and all that. And he thought, hey, our little 10 lines of firing squads is not how we're going to win this war. We need to get down and dirty.
Yeah.
And we need to attack them where on their homeland. So, like, if we want to really impact them, we need to hit them where it hurts. And get away from this code of ethics or loyalty to the king and how we're supposed to be perceived as soldiers.
A man kind of ahead of his time in terms of like thinking about like war tactics and how brutal it actually is.
Yeah.
Because like the way that this movie like portrays the battles is very fascinating to me, where like it obviously like that devolves into like, you know, them running at each other and like stabbing each other.
That's how it was.
Well, I don't mean to use the word devolves as like a derogatory term.
Yeah.
I'm saying that complimentary, where it's like we are showing the formalities of war, or like the perception of formalities of war, with like this lineup gig and like them taking turns of ready, aim, fire. This like very kind of robotic procedure that just like really you could only get away with back then. Like you cannot, you could not do that shit after a certain point. And it's like with weapons technology advancing and like battle tactics changing, it's like, do we really want to have the idea of war being this noble thing in terms of the actual battle itself? Or do we want to just acknowledge like, yeah, this is an ugly piece of shit thing that people do to each other, and we have to embrace that if we want to get ahead.
And that's what Tavington felt like he was doing, and then leveraging that. That's where I get into, like, I think he's a little bit more, like, he's smarter than what he gives off. It's not just brutality, because he leverages, I can take care of these people for you. You'll win this war. I want a stake of land here, and I think you can carve me out a whole fucking state. I did like how he chose Ohio, like the piece of shit state out of all the 50. You know,
that got a chuckle from me.
Yeah,
tell me about Ohio.
Yeah,
I'm like, fucking Ohio. It's flat as shit, my guy. You're gonna be like the lord of the fucking promised land. Matt Mikkelsen is gonna be trying to make a farm out there, and you're gonna be like, you're on my land, and it's like, brother, there's nothing here.
Yeah, that's it. This is it, as far as I can see. With some crops, but
yeah,
it was. I definitely think that he's a little bit smarter than what he was giving off, or at least there was savagery, there's some brutality behind him, but it was. Maybe that in the sense of being calculated. Because it does feel like he's reckless in this.
It does.
I don't think that, like, hey, let's go kill their families or destroy their crops is like that outside the box thinking.
It's smart that that's ultimately his undoing when he, like, rushes into battle before he's told to, and then that ultimately, like, loses them the whole thing.
Yeah. You could say Mel Gibson had it set up that way knowing that Tavington was watching it.
Hey, you could say he was 2 steps ahead the whole time.
Yeah.
He wanted to get caught.
Yes.
That's been my favorite thing to think about lately, is like movies doing that bullshit where it's like, he wanted to get caught.
We've talked about this, right? Because I said what irritates me the fucking most with movies is when they play, like Chris Cooper, he wanted to get caught. It's just like,
I just love that saying so much.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's great.
I want to talk about a little bit more of like the technical aspects of this movie and like kind of the sort of surprise I felt, not just with like how competent a lot of that was, with like the action scenes.
How many extras are in this?
How many extras are there?
Like fake guns going off everywhere.
The slow motion, but just like the subversion of how I thought this movie was PG-13. Oh. And going into this with like the first scene in which, like, you know, so Mel Gibson's son, his second born, 15-year-old son, gets shot and he's dead. Slaughtered in front of him. And I'm thinking, you know, they shoot all the other like revolutionary soldiers, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, yeah, there's like a little bit more to this movie than to this PG-13 movie. I was still thinking it was that rating. And then Mel Gibson bum rushes 20 of these guys while his 2 young sons shoot them from the woods, and I'm like, oh no, this is R. Yeah. This is like action movie shit that we're getting. That's like showing all this stuff, and then we get like, you know, people's heads getting blasted with cannonballs, and like a guy loses a leg.
How about that thing going at you and taking that off?
All these guys getting shot, and I'm like, okay, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Why am I forgetting?
Roland Emmerich?
Roland Emmerich.
Mr. Roland?
Guys, 4 hours of sleep I'm operating on. It was so hot. You don't get it. I had a stomach ache.
Okay, come on. We're talking about Emmerich here.
We're talking about Emmerich. Roland Emmerich is the man.
In Patriot Day.
Yes, but no. I was impressed a lot by like the technical parts of this. I thought that I always appreciate when a movie does the slow-mo with actually like shooting it in a high frame rate, especially when it comes out in this time period where like a lot of the reliance of that is just like slowing the frame down in editing and it's just looking choppy as shit. But no, they largely, I think, avoid that type of thing. And like
I thought there was a little too much slow-mo, but
yeah, it gets a little Zack Snydery.
Yeah,
it gets a little Zack Snydery, but I don't know. There's a lot that I appreciate about this movie. Just ultimately, just like some things here and there that are a little scratchy to me. We can talk about like some of the performances. I thought Mel Gibson was good. Jason Isaacs obviously is my favorite part of this movie. I thought Heath Ledger was pretty anonymous, if I'm being real. Like he
was playing teen heartthrob in this.
He didn't really stand out too much to me. Felt like he was doing a sort of like 10 Things I Hate About You in revolutionary times.
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, he's got the love interest going on.
There wasn't like the Heath Ledger charm that I was like expecting from him, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because not that it's not a memorable performance, but like I thought one that he played fairly well. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of hard when you're, especially the Heath Ledger that I know. After at the time I had no clue. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm enjoying like what I'm seeing because there's a dynamic with Mel Gibson as his dad, and like I honestly think if you take someone else, and Mel Gibson I thought really did well in this role, that it would be a much lesser character because they would get so outshined by Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And I think that, not to say it's a compliment, I don't think you're going to beat out Mel in this thing, but as long as you're not forgettable in it, I think you're good. And I don't know, you might not sit there and be like, oh yeah, like in 6 months, like what was his best part in that? I do think that he had to play out a little bit more of the nobility, a little bit more of the cause, and have to help. He was almost like Mel Gibson's, like his rock, essentially.
The foundation of the character that he like kind of finds himself just sort of like grounded with. Yeah. Because, Heath Ledger is in a lot of this movie. Like he is like third build or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe even second build. Ow, Piper.
Fuck. Let's find out. While Kyle goes through that, second build.
Piper just stabbed the shit out of my leg.
Richardson is third build.
No, Heath Ledger is in a fair amount of this movie, and I think it is just by sheer volume of scenes that he's in that I think he's memorable and like doing a decent enough job. I cannot say that to me he is making a huge impression. A lot of what I like about this movie, I would not point back to him or scenes that he is prominent in.
I wouldn't either. I agree with you on that. But I also, knowing how Roland Emmerich writes stuff now and the fact that he is essentially like a plot device in all of this thing at the end of the day, for Gibson to carry on the story, like I don't think he probably had a whole lot to chew on.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
And there's a couple scenes in here that I actually really appreciated with him that I honestly kind of forgotten. One is when they're sitting on the beach, St. Helena, they're kind of talking about what it is becoming a man and becoming a father and becoming kind of like growing up, right? And as his bride about to be is pulling in, and him and Mel Gibson like share a moment through all of this, and Mel Gibson slices off the apple, and it's like that really feels like a father-son moment right there, where they're really having like an honest-to-God conversation that isn't revolving around the war, right? Yeah. The other one is that he takes the flag and he kind of carries it on because this is something that he truly does believe in, being, a free 13 colonies, a free state, right? And it's not taxation without representation. It's not all that bullshit. It's more of like what he fundamentally believes in, and that this cause can help them get to that point. And he's sewing it up. And he tells Mel Gibson, you can't hold on to the anger that happened with Thomas and use that as revenge because it's eventually going to come back and bite you. Like, you need to come to an understanding and get to that tranquility or peaceful. He doesn't say it like that, but essentially, like, you need to come to peace with what's occurred.
Right.
So that way, as you're fighting and carrying this on, it has to be more about the cause for why you're doing this as opposed to avenging your son's death, because you'll never feel rewarded even when you capture that. And, like,
Yeah.
the way that he's able to do a couple of those scenes when it's just him and Mel, I thought he stood up next to him very well, and it felt very much of a genuine father-son, which I don't know how many people, when Mel's shining like that, can do that.
Right. I totally I agree with that pretty much. I think that really, like, a lot of the other side characters get lost in terms of, like, my impression of them. So, like, it doesn't help that, like, you have a huge cast that are varying degrees of, like, memorable, have an impact, have, like, an actual, like, thing to do in the story. So, like, Mel Gibson, Jason Isaacs, obviously, like, kind of being at the top of that. Heath Ledger to a degree, and then you've got Chris Cooper. And
I would almost say Tom Wilkinson plays
Wilkinson.
the the opposite to Ledger in terms of, like, the blue and red.
Yeah, the kind of, like, foppy villain who is, like, really at the center of power, but it's just like, oh, well, I guess we've lost, like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone else feels pretty ancillary in a way that feels kind of throwaway and just, like, not really wanting to deal with any of that.
They're kind of archetypes that just come in and, I mean, a little bit memorable. I don't know, maybe not. Memorable's not a great way. I don't think anyone really flopped it or flubbed it.
Because I watched this movie yesterday.
Yeah.
I promise you, give it a week, I'm not going to remember most of these people.
No, all right, the shepherd. You had the reverend. If I say the reverend has to attend to his flock, and then, and even that means whatever. Like, I do think that they don't have enough, but it's enough to, if you say something to associate them with, you're not lost.
Right. You can say, like, qualifying adjectives that describe the characters, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember. I like the guy who needs to hold the thing up to his ear because he can't fucking hear anything. Like,
right.
Sure. Like, that conjures a memory of someone that I will have forgotten.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in here is given enough meat to really do anything of importance outside of Mel Gibson.
And a lot of the fates of these characters, because of that, feel pretty damn disposable. So, like, the to me, most egregious example of that being Heath Ledger's wife. So, like,
plot device.
I could pretty much tell as soon as he gave her the necklace, I was like, he's fucked. Or
that was the harbinger of death, the black note.
This is like a totem of you're gonna die here.
Yeah, here's my dead wife's, like, star.
He is giving her the star necklace so that he can find it later on, like, her corpse or something. And then, sure as shit, they come in, they burn the church down, they have, like, their little come and see scene, and it's like, yep, there it is. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a little bit more when it's like, oh, we shot your wife versus there were 50 people in here that burned alive. See, that was actually one of the more harrowing scenes for me, and I guess it's more so of, like, me inserting myself into the situation, thinking about, I can't imagine being burned alive. One, experiencing the pain of what's going on, while also listening to everyone else around me suffering. Like, I really can't envision what that would feel. Remember in Nope?
Yes. I thought about saying Nope just as a giggle.
There's something happens in Nope where there's people being put at things, and you can just hear the screams and the echoes and the pitches and
the sound design. Yeah,
it's almost like, wow, this is a really terrible shared experience that is actually going to be the demise of me. So, like, that. Yeah, like, it's going to happen, but I thought it was effective that they were like, hey, we're going to take the guy that, like, now we're putting you in a choice, right? Like, either you can kill the 50 people that you knew and shared time with, or you can, God save the king. What say you?
Yeah, the scene was effective in that it made me just hate Adam Baldwin's character even more, too, because he's a fucking cowardly piece of shit.
Yeah.
Does he die?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Think so.
I don't think they show him getting, like,
they deserve a traitor's death.
They deserve a traitor's death.
Yeah.
Was he being British Or was he just being Adam Baldwin?
No, I think that there's no, he is a Baldwin.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not.
He's not a Baldwin brother.
Okay.
That's a common misnomer that people have.
Okay.
Is that because he's an actor in Hollywood and that his last name's Baldwin and that he's around their age, that people think that he's related.
Okay. Oh,
But
that's okay. Then I'm not.
He's also a crazy conservative MAGA guy. So.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to talk about that with Randy Quaid too?
Yeah, there we go.
Those guys should get together.
How did Roland Emmerich because Roland Emmerich doesn't feel like he'd fit in. Anyways,
I think it's just the nature of the films he makes, but
that's a good point too.
yeah.
But we were talking about Adam Baldwin and
Yes, a British accent.
Oh, I think it's just more of a byproduct of probably being raised in the British colonies.
Yeah.
Like you kind of, like
Which I had some questions about that because I guess I don't know the history of like when we started developing our own accent,
right?
And like how that would show itself in this time period.
You wanted that in this movie.
I mean,
Tapestry, dude. Why don't you just watch a Ken Burns documentary?
It's not affecting my rating. I just throwing it out there. It was just a thought I had. Okay,
you're getting a lot more deeper questions than Mel Gibson like mutilating people. Like I don't
listen. Which of those scenes I think fucking rock.
Yeah. Well, I'm really happy that you like that because that should be one that stays with you for a while.
Oh, I can. If you gave me like the time code of the movie, like the whole fucking 2 hours and 45 minutes of the thing, which I guess there's also like a director's cut. I don't think I watched that version. I don't know if you knew.
No, it's 2 hours 45. That is his cut. I mean, not the director's cut. It's the normal production.
Right. I think there's a version that's even longer, but
I don't.
Anyway,
director's cuts.
I could point to the time code and like the exact moment in which I could pinpoint when I leaned up in my seat.
Yeah,
like just like, all right, I'm seated, I'm here.
It had to have been like when he run. Well, let's say boys come with me, and no. It's when the horse and buggy start showing up on screen. Mm-hmm. So he's like, "Hey, boys, this is what's going on," and there's nothing around, and all of a sudden it creeps into the screen, and you go, "Oh shit!"
He's behind the tree.
Yeah.
He like slowly turns to maybe take aim, and for a fraction of a moment, I thought someone was gonna spot him. He's gonna have to run away.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to like strategize in it, and it's like, nope. He just shoots the motherfucker.
Game on.
And then he starts shooting all the motherfuckers.
Yeah, and that is unrelenting.
And like he's got his fucking tomahawk. He's like throwing that shit. He's knifing people. Dude. I'm like, all right, cool. I am down.
Yeah. And I felt like Mel Gibson knew he was kind of more in a fun movie, right? Like
yeah.
He's got like more of a. He's kind of like Will Smith and Goldblum mix in this thing. Because I do think he's able to personify how he's feeling.
There's like the steadiness of Goldblum that he can play when he's like just talking in dialogue with the other characters, and then there is the absolute movie star. I'm gonna go in and wreck shit up.
Yeah. Of
like Will Smith going and running in and like. Absolutely just laying waste to all these dudes.
Yeah.
It's pretty stellar stuff, Roland. I think you did it.
Yeah, he knows how to pick his players.
You know how to pick your players. And that's kind of what this movie ultimately feels like, is just like Roland Emmerich playing with action figures and us seeing that visualized in a way that's got so much money put into it.
You keep just... Yeah, I don't know if it's compelling, but it definitely is. So... we were talking about this too with the crew on this, and this, I think the consensus, this is like an ultimate dad movie.
Hella dad movie.
You know what I'm saying? Like
dad-ass movie.
It's historical. Guys like laying waste to redcoats, avenging deaths, and like pretty much like unstoppable. Like he's a John Wick of the Revolutionary War, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They give him the nickname equivalent to the Baba Yaga, calling him the Ghost. Yeah. Reward out for the Ghost,
yeah, which isn't as cool as
Baba
John,
Yaga.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to when it comes to aura farming, you really can't get that past John Wick.
No,
you'd be hard pressed to do that.
No.
Can I just sort of verbalize a little bit some of my hesitation that I feel with both this movie and Independence Day in terms of like
hesitation,
like the goal of what it's trying to evoke from you as. An audience member, as a red-blooded American, as like a patriotic citizen of this country, right?
Are you gonna say that this is like subliminal messaging?
I'm not saying it's subliminal messaging.
Would Black Hawk Down fall in this?
Possibly. Yep. I just kind of want to acknowledge my feelings, and I'm not even saying that this is going to really affect my ratings for either of them.
Acknowledge away, man.
I feel like for me, it is difficult to watch a movie like this, and especially Independence Day, where we are seeing like the best of America come together and like rise to the occasion in terms of like this idea of oppression and like fighting against like, you know, this idea of fascism and like not having representation for the American people, and just kind of like moving forward with that in an era where it is the 250th year of us as a country, and we are celebrating it with a fucking piece of shit that is sitting in the Oval Office and just completely making a mockery of the idea of patriotism, saying that if you look this certain way, if you live this certain way, if you are born this certain way, you do not represent the ideals of what I deem to be the American way. And I feel like in such a time in which like that is at its like zenith in terms of like divisiveness and like people's feelings towards that, I have such a hard time reconciling with what this movie's trying to make me feel, of just like, isn't the ideals of America great?
Yeah.
Can't we just like stand on our principles and like do what's right and get it done? And I'm like, that's all well and good. I'm having a hard time thinking about that when we have maybe one of the most corrupt governments that we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I think the problem, like, Roland Emmerich didn't make that this year in a way to help you guide your feelings with how you're feeling now.
And I want to verbalize it's not going into my rating. I'm just it's something that I really feel like I have to express.
There's a confliction, right? Like, there's a confliction where you're looking at this and you're just thinking like, man, like, this is really representative of what America stood for. And like, when you talk about these ideals and principles and fundamentals and what makes us, you know, so unique as a country, right? And it feels like we just aren't seeing that right now. Right? Not at all. And yeah, I am able to distill it to say of the time of what this is, what representative of at least what Roland Emmerich, and I don't know where he stands politically, but he said he's a homosexual.
He's a homosexual.
He's part of the
man.
LGBTQ
he very proudly labels himself as part of that community, and so I would imagine a lot of his policies line up with the majority of those members of that community.
And that's where I think, like, when he's making this, this is the pride that he felt of the country that he was a part of making those films. And so that's where I think, like, you need to hold it in a vacuum or separate now versus then. And it obviously and this is what was funny about, like, with Independence Day, the 4th of July, and the 250th and all that stuff, is that there's so much turmoil right now. It almost feels like if you are celebrating America, you're almost like celebrating what we have in America. And I think there needs to be...
How can I celebrate a country that I'm not feeling proud of at the moment?
Right. And I do think that there are pockets or there's ways to feel about where you're at outside of that. And it's like with these films, you know, but I definitely see where... Because I was having the same thing. Like, you're talking with someone who's, you know, we're red-blooded Americans, we're proud of what we have and all this and that. And, like, you get into the... like, right, what do you really stand for, though? Like, where are we aligning here? And I think that's one of the worst things, what's going on, at least right now, is that it makes you question everyone that you're talking with and, like, where do you stand? And I think it's really tragic that you have those thoughts or feelings.
At the very least, it makes me look back at movies that came out in this time period, especially about these subjects, and just it reminds me of just, like, the naive idealism that we had at a certain point about how we felt about politics or, like, the president or, like, certain things. Obviously, like, we've always had issues. We've always had things that we had to deal with and, like, overcome or, like, kind of, like, confront in some way.
Right.
It feels like right now we are afraid of that confrontation, whether or not it's because of, like, the consequences that come with it or because the government just doesn't believe in the idea of confronting anything at all because it wants to peddle the idea that nothing is wrong and they're doing a perfect job.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, you know, if you want to get to where I think about where we're at, watch Gangs of New York. And that's where, you know, we sit on some of that lines with what's going on.
We could get another Scorsese on the board. Could do it.
Yeah.
Could recommend.
Oh, I'm down. Hey, listen, I love Gangs of New York.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm due for a rewatch, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I see where you bump up with it, and especially on a first viewing experience, having some of the... You can't take the emotionality out of it.
It's
with how you're
it's
feeling,
just hard
right?
to separate it. I can acknowledge, like, this movie is obviously a product of its time, and it is so separate from the feelings that I have now.
Yeah.
From when obviously it couldn't have predicted what was going to happen.
Yep.
But it is, I think, unavoidable.
Yeah.
If we're talking about these movies and like their themes.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
But there. Yeah. I
had to get it out of my system.
You're good. You're good.
What else did we want to talk about with The Patriot? I feel
what was up with the relationship with Aunt Charlotte and Benjamin Martin?
That's a fun question that I don't know if the movie entirely wants to engage with.
Now, we talked a little bit about like the, like what's going on during those times. Like, I'm not sure if that was normal.
I think it was, if we're going off of how people lived their lives back then and sort of like the principles in which they lived them, there's a lot of kind of like mentions of God throughout this, and like kind of the idea of religion. I mean, there's a priest characters get burned down in a church, so like obviously it's pretty laden throughout. I think a lot of that too just kind of has to do with the way people lived back then, and that like the Bible, I think explicitly at one point states that if your spouse dies, then you
get the sister.
It's best if you like keep the lineage and like you can go to the next available member of that family. And so like I think it was like common in like the idea of like the royal family too, so maybe some of it was being like carried down through that notion.
Yeah.
It is ultimately...
That's why science is important.
It's why science is important. It is ultimately very weird and off-putting that not only do they get together the way they do, but the children don't seem to have an issue with it at all.
No, they were kind of cool with it.
Oh, Aunt Charlotte?
We're going to Aunt Charlotte's?
You're sick. You're fucking Aunt Charlotte now?
Yeah.
That's awesome, Dad.
Nice.
High fives him as he's like leaving the bedroom.
Yeah. I was like, even when I was young, I was like, odd. right? Like, it's kind of like I don't know how much to invest in this, but like that's wrong, Yeah. And now it's like,
is this legal?
Yeah. Like it's the kissing cousins from Godfather 3. Like,
I mean,
I look at it and I just think, do we have to have it in there this way?
Right.
The
only really, I think it's a little bit better than the Godfather 3 thing, because at least this is like they're not blood related, so there's that.
Those like you could say they were confused as cousins, or I don't even remember. I think that they weren't related either. Like I thought he was like adopted or something.
Was he?
They inherited him from a different family.
I thought they were like actual cousins,
kissing cousins,
like blood related cousins.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of our more popular clips on our channel.
Oh, really?
So I'll have to send it to you as a refresher.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we just got lost in the idea of it in the discussion, but I remember us having a pretty big hang up with it for a reason.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't as... It's still... Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's weird. Like,
I mean, we can talk about kissing cousins all we want.
No, but I mean, like, in this thing, it's like, it doesn't serve a purpose to have it be the aunt outside of, like, I'm not your wife conversation.
No, it's truly just like your wife died, so we have to have the tragedy of that, but we also want you to have a love interest, because we want to remind the audience that Mel Gibson is still, at this time, pretty fuckable.
Oh, dude, he's a silver fox in this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
he's got that face that is just so unique in how kind of masculine it is, but at the same time there's like a softness there.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah.
That's what I've kept saying.
He's not like a chiseled Chad. He's not like a Chris Hemsworth type that you'd see today, where it's just like you've got like all the masculinity to you, but it just feels like a guy who's like, oh, all your tires are blown. I could change them all for you.
I was just about to say, it feels kind of like a vetted mechanic or like a salted mechanic. You know?
Yeah.
But like instead of going
good
home and like
hands.
drinking beer and like chewing, it was like I'm gonna read a book.
He's like good with his hands and he can like fix your car, but he's also not afraid to tell his wife that he loves her in front of other people.
He reads poetry, right? Like he can go hunting and like he'll rip the heart out of the deer and eat it. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, dude, that's so. And instead of being like a savage about it, he goes, back the Native Americans to give you like a little history on it. Or
but
like,
he'll also put on the apron and cook the meal for his children.
Yeah. He lights a candle just because he likes the scent, not because he needs the light.
I wish we had more of the scenes with the chairs.
With him being like him trying to figure him out.
I wanted more chair business. I liked the opening where he tries on the chair. His kids are watching him from a distance. he fucking biffs it and he like angrily throws it in the corner where it cuts to more broken chairs.
Speaking of the, we don't really see him get broken. That is a great instance of like, are we gonna get more of this rage?
I know,
right?
and then like you get like a little bit of it when he like comes to General Cornwallis and he's like looking at the other chair and he's like, God damn it, like this one's actually good. And like,
would it be funny if you found like a third chair that was better than that chair?
Truly, rule of threes, I needed like one more scene of the chair.
That actually, you're not wrong in that about this.
Because like I enjoyed it, I was there for it. You gotta have one more.
Like, what would have been? All right, so here we go. We're playing out the chair game. Okay, he biffs it first chair, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We get to the scene where he gets the dogs and like we're steal the paper, eat the dogs. He looks in their chair in the wagon. He's like, what? Sets it out. He can rock in it a couple times and then biffs it because it got damaged in the fight. And now he knows that there can be a chair created, right? And he's like, wow. And then he gets to Cornwallis, and then he sits in. Now he's like, holy shit, they did it, right? But then at the very end, fourth chair, Chris Cooper gifts it to him at the house.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah, and now he has his chair.
I like the inclusion of Chris Cooper because I feel like we don't get enough of him in this movie.
He's fantastic. He's so good.
He's good. I honestly forgot he was in it until he showed back up.
Yeah, it's actually it's one of those things where he popped up and I was like, damn, that's Chris Cooper.
It's a little inconsistent in terms of the structure of
I
that.
don't know if they knew he was going to be that good of an actor. Like William Fichtner popping in things like in the 90s where he's like, oh, I could have used more Fichtner.
Yeah.
And it's like then he started becoming like more involved.
Yeah, character actor.
Yeah, like I don't know if Chris Cooper was like that too, or it's like, he's a pretty good actor. We should have included him a little more.
I think, because when did Adaptation come out? Because I thought that was like
2003? 2004?
Was it? Okay, so he's like just a couple years, I think, from an Oscar nom.
So maybe he is popular. I don't know. He's probably, I think he's fifth billed in this.
I think he's like on the up and up.
Yeah.
Which is great because like, he's got Bourne coming up. He's like an iconic villain in that movie.
Hey, real quick too.
Yeah.
How often did you look at the hair stylings?
All the time.
Did you notice like Chris
like,
Cooper had a ponytail too? Like, is it?
Yeah, it was one of the things that I noticed the most in terms of what this movie was going, where I said to myself like, how much of this is like actually their hair grown out, and how much of this is just like they glued a ponytail on the back of their head?
Okay,
because a lot of that was just pretty sweaty in terms of the costuming.
Like Gibson looks like his hair's all the way out, right?
Yeah, he's got that kind of old man thing where like he's got like a decent head of hair, but you can tell it's like
it's
kind of it's like getting a little thinner.
Yeah, because he gets like split ends. It looks like
yeah.
But like Chris Cooper, he's sitting there talking the whole time, and I don't know why, but they did a profile shot, and I saw his rat tail, and I was like, that just doesn't look like it should be on his head.
Yeah, no, it's so like kind of just improperly placed in there, where I said to myself, I could do without it.
Yeah,
just don't have it.
Yeah, because then you start looking at everyone else's hair too, and you're like, damn, like everyone's got like. Everyone's got ponytails.
Everyone's got this like weird rat tail.
Yeah.
And I think to the credit of, I don't know if Jason Isaacs actually like grew his hair out, but they at least like gave him a wig that like let his hair down at a certain point.
His hair looked good.
His hair looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
His hair looked pretty decent.
Like Head and Shoulders type hair.
It looked decent in that like kind of Fabio way.
Yes.
Where it's like you've got your hair pretty long. How would this look if we cut it short?
Yeah.
I'm like starting to question it.
Yeah.
But you're pulling it off.
Yeah.
You're doing what needs to be done.
The last thing, I mean, I probably have. Did you see the "Don't Tread on Me" flag?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Were you going to bring that up?
No.
Was that a big thing?
I didn't want to tread on the conversation.
I'm just curious. Was that a big thing in the Revolutionary War?
I think it was. Now, I am not, like I said, well versed on my history.
Yeah.
So I could be totally wrong. But we have the technology to look this up right now.
Yeah, because I saw it and I was like, man, like that was a big thing like in 2014, 2016. Yeah. Like those flags started coming back and I thought...
But it was like, a lot of it was like protests for things that were not in great faith. Oh. Kind of like being adopted by a movement that is a little bit more problematic in today's world.
The Don't Tread on Me?
Adopted in 1775, December 20th.
How about that? Okay.
So how about that? So
that was appropriate.
And it was appropriate.
I wasn't going to call bullshit, but I know like Gibson's kind of done some things where he's like in Apocalypto, like there's a Where's Waldo? Mm-hmm. You know, like one of the frames. I thought like that was like, hey, Roland, like put this thing in here. It'd be funny. because you really can't see it. You can see the snake, and you're like, oh, that's the symbol.
And it's like kind of a faded blue one instead of a yellow one, like we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great design flag. It has a good meaning to it. I think a lot of what it's being used for now is pretty decent, where it's like obviously like our government currently is like, oppressing a lot of different groups of people. There are other bad faith individuals that will adopt it and use it to retrofit their own bad values of like, I'm using this so that I can tell you that I want to be racist towards people.
Yeah, don't tread on me, bro.
You don't tread on my right to shout gay slurs
Isn't that
at
like a First Amendment right to do that stuff?
Right, exactly.
Be vile.
Being like a horrible piece of shit. But no,
it's the gaslighting. That's what I can't stand.
Yeah. Was there anything else we wanted to say about Patriots Day? Or no, God damn it, the Patriot.
Way to ruin that sign off.
I know. I absolutely biffed it.
I don't think so. Mel Gibson was fantastic. There's not a whole lot. I mean, it's pretty kind of...
Keep going. I gotta let Piper out.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... I mean, story played through and through. A little bit of a one man's, revenge. Just seeing how far in the dumps he can get. Like, I don't think there's... It's like Independence Day. The takeaway from this isn't going to be anything that's really deep or metaphorical, right? Like, we're just putting kicking ass on tape.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if it's your cup of tea, you'll like it quite a bit. And if it's not, I will say, I mean, there's points where this thing can kind of feel like a slog, like the relationship stuff.
Yeah, that's my big thing with it.
And I think the Aunt Charlotte thing was like, hey, we're not going to have Mel be able to build out a relationship coming off the dead wife, so we have to have one that's already kind of built in. And that makes it a little easier when it's like, oh, you've known her since you've married your wife.
A plug and play for a love interest.
Yeah. And she even calls it out, too. Didn't he hand her a mask? And he's like, I don't think you look like her. That's why I got you this.
I don't remember.
No? Okay.
I don't remember.
You sure it wasn't like a latex mask, like where you just handed it to her?
I
put this on.
Truly, if that was a scene that took place, it has escaped me.
I'm just fucking with you, man. It's a latex. I don't even know if they discovered that in 1776.
Right. Shall we get into ratings?
Sure.
For The Patriot.
Yeah.
So I had fun with this movie. It is very enjoyable at many different points. I thought that the performances were pretty consistent, if not a lot of them pretty anonymous and forgettable. Just kind of like meaning what the movie's doing, but having this many players and having them kind of like disappearing into the background the way they do doesn't really do them much of a service. However, this movie is carried by the likes of Mel Gibson and Jason Isaacs and Chris Cooper, Tom Wilkinson.
And you threw Chris Cooper in over Heath Ledger?
I was gonna say a little bit of Heath Ledger, but Chris Cooper's role wasn't meant to be as big as Heath Ledger's. I think the only reason I'm bumping up against Heath is because of just how much of a presence he has in this movie and how little of a presence he has in my impression of him.
Chris Cooper made a larger do a line from Chris Cooper.
I'm Chris Cooper.
I'm not. All right. Yeah.
Well, ask
me.
We
don't shit on people in here. It's your perspective, man.
Oh, thanks, Mac. I don't know why this thing's crackling so much. Can you hear it?
No, you're good.
Okay. Must just be a.
You got to battle through it. We're so close to getting out of here.
One battle after another. Yeah. So I won't mince too many words. This thing was enjoyable but at many points a slog, and I think it had quite a few flaws of just like the time period and like not really tapping into a lot of the potential of that. This movie is, to me, a high 6 out of 10.
Wow. Okay, so you had a lot more fun with this than Independence Day. Shocked. Yeah, not really.
For the record, my favorite Roland Emmerich movie is still Day After Tomorrow.
All right.
No, nothing to say about that?
No.
Do you not like that movie?
No, I do. But I'm like, you got these two are powerhouses versus that. But I'm guessing you probably saw that when you were like 14.
Probably. Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
That's what I'm saying. That's the Roland Emmerich effect. Like he hits you at a young age.
I don't even love that movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you have nostalgia for it. And probably at the time you watched it, it was very easy to watch. It pulled at the heartstrings a little bit.
And from my memory, it's like maybe the best balance of that thing he's trying to do with the whole like, ensemble moving pieces sort of thing. But
sure.
Yeah.
The Patriot. It holds a place in my heart. I don't think I watch this movie often, but I think it's part of the DVD collection. Definitely a PMC. I really, Roland Emmerich does what he does well, getting a budget. I mean, I really like the battle scenes in this stuff. I don't think that it's not historical accuracy, but capturing, I think, what would be very difficult to do in terms of the Revolutionary War with having like the squadrons and the firing lines and lining people up, and even just the costume design in this thing, being able to capture the times and the feel and the look. I thought he knocks it out of the park. It definitely makes me feel like, as I'm watching this, like it could be a play, but at least I feel like with plays, like if you feel like you're in the play, it's a good sign of the play. Mel Gibson's fantastic. I like Heath Ledger in this thing just for being able to keep up with Mel, because I think, I'll just say, he's a titan in this thing, and I don't think a lot of people stand up next to him very comparable. Like even Villeneuve, the French colonel. I think even just a couple times with his lines and some of the dialogue that he has is fantastic. You were talking about some of the supporting cast there and not really standing up. I think they do a fine job with what's been asked of them, and I think with most of them, I kind of remember like their quirks, a little bit of the personality, and probably who they were outside of just what we're seeing them in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got its flaws. I mean, you can see that now, in 2 hours and 45 minutes can be a little long, especially if you're not into the relationships. But
you know what else can be a little long for 2 hours and 45 minutes?
Oh, shit.
A podcast episode in which it is sweltering in this room.
Oh, yeah, man. I didn't even look at the time. All right. Anyways, 10 out of 10.
There we go. 2 10s for Mac, a 5 and a 6 for me.
Yeah.
What else would it be but the Neon Crew podcast? One more bit of business before we wrap up. I get to make a recommendation.
Yep.
It's my turn.
Yep.
So this is a film that we sort of talked about a little bit. I think you brought it up by title in the previous episode, from the question that I asked of directors that we have not covered on the show.
Yep.
That I want to.
Fuck.
You have any guess as to what I'm throwing your way?
Something that I can't watch with my family.
I would guess probably not.
Please be like Enter the Void or something like
Mac?
Early on.
I am recommending Gaspar Noé's 2009 film, Enter the Void.
Hell yeah.
So I figured this would be a pretty decent talking point for the two of us. It is a filmmaker we haven't covered. It is a movie that I don't think... Have you seen it?
No. I've had it on my watch list for a while.
Yeah, so neither of us have seen this movie.
I think I have a different impression, though, of what it probably is.
Yeah, I have only seen one Gaspar Noé movie, and that was Climax.
Good on you.
Yeah. Movie I liked quite a bit. But
yeah.
I guess we'll find out if the same magic applies to Enter the Void. So a movie that I've had on my radar for close to half a decade now, that I'm finally pulling the trigger on, giving me an excuse to watch it, giving us an excuse to talk about it.
Nice.
So if you guys don't want to be spoiled with Enter the Void by Gaspar Noé, 2009, be sure to check that movie out before episode 124, and we'll let you guys know what we end up pairing it up with. Probably The Odyssey?
I think so.
Yeah.
If we can get tickets. But
I
don't think that's IMAX, so.
Spoiler alert, I have IMAX tickets.
Yeah, I've heard that. Anyways, yeah, good on you.
So we'll probably talk about that along with Enter the Void, so check those movies out before then. Thank you guys so much for listening. McLean, what do we have to say before we plant the flag into the ground and declare us an independent nation?
WWTHD.
Bye, everyone. The Neon Crew podcast is hosted by Kyle Yates and McLean Parker. Kyle, who is myself, also helps to produce, edit, and upload every episode. Our music was composed by Gideon Hunter. Our artwork was created by Lauren Hunter. Thank you so much for listening to our show. Episodes get scheduled to release every 2 weeks. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on various social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube community page for updates and information on upcoming episodes. Want to join the Neon Mafia? Head over to our shop page at etsy.com/shop/the Neon Crew Podcast for some quality, comfortable merch.